I am actually obsessed with this new trend in anime in which the tie-in films are A, relevant to the main storyline, and B, fucking fantastic, and Jujutsu Kaisen 0 is absolutely both of these. Welcome, you weebies and BBs, you bunch of dark, twisted, cursed kiddos. You've locked into one with the films. This is your one-stop shop designed to make you watch films that seem ordinary at face value, but that often subconsciously raise a mirror to the deep and dark aspects of your soul that you've pushed all the way down and refused to question all the way into adulthood, resulting into a continuous loop of toxic behavior that is brought on by decades and decades of unhealed emotional wounds from the traumas of your childhood, resulting from parents that lacked emotional intelligence and probably a handful of failed loves along the way too. Am I right? No?
Are
Just
we
me?
describing how curses are made?
Okay, never mind. Well, with me today, as my co-host, is one of my favorite people around. You love her for her in-depth analysis and insights of media, particularly in the A Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon spaces. You also love her for her fuck you, shut up, I'm done with your bullshit put-downs that are so devilishly sweet you get toothaches just from doom scrolling. I, however, know her for her soft, kind, gentle, loving heart and beautiful soul. We have today the fellow The Last Jedi Stan, the Better Call Saul truther, sexy antagonist simp, and you know dragons aren't the only ones to call her mommy. I too, perhaps, have fallen into that trap from time to time. It's the wonderful JJ. Say hey, JJ.
Hello. Oh, wow. Got me a little red here.
That's what I do, baby. That's what I do. Thank you so much for jumping on as co-host. We have a special guest on this week as well. So a special guest is one of the kindest and wonderful people I've had the pleasure of not only connecting with over TikTok, but having the chance to meet and hang out with in person. You can't be around him and not feel like the world isn't just a little bit brighter knowing this guy is around. He's just as obsessed with Jujutsu Kaisen as JJ here, and I get the sense he's just a little bit excited to be here talking about it. It's Senor Cal. Welcome, Cal. Thank you for joining us.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's going to be a great episode. We had a last-minute addition here as well. Johnny put some pants on and joined us. Johnny has been a fantastic fill-in co-host the last few weeks, and it's so great to have you back once again, baby.
Yeah, no, everyone must have thought I was your co-host until you said JJ's name.
No. It was JJ.
We do also call Johnny mommy, so.
I mean,
But as I was putting everything
I am told
down,
I have very motherly instincts. So.
Have you watched Better Call Saul though?
I've seen parts of season 1, but then my Netflix expired.
Awful. You're a bad person. You should feel sad.
I am.
It's okay.
I got
Mom.
Netflix back again. I'll probably finish it, but I'm still on my arcane high.
I am still working through that. I'm so far behind, bro.
I need to hug you now.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Please, no spoilers.
No spoilers.
Yeah, but this is just a reminder to all the listeners as well that you can find one with the films on your podcasting platform of choice, as well as live and on demand right here. And if you're on the live chat, please feel free to join in the conversation. We always love to hear from you. And if you're listening on demand, don't worry. We still love you, just a little bit less. That being said, hi, George. George is in chat. So yeah, we're going to talk about a movie he will have no idea about, which is really exciting. Now, JJ, you are co-hosting with me today, so you're going to help me run through some of the podcasting schlop that I've put together for you. Did you want to give us a little bit of a breakdown of what the weekly watch list is?
Yes, absolutely. Again, thank you for inviting me to do this, and I get to talk about JJK and hang out with my friends, so I really appreciate it. So the weekly watch list is what, yes. The weekly watches is what happens when a bunch of friends with a unique and wonderful taste in films have tried too hard for too long to finally share and discuss their favorite films with one another. And if you've been around a while, you already know the shtick. However, for uninitiated, the idea is that for every episode, at least one person is watching the chosen film for the first time. It's all about having a space for creators to share the art medium that matters most to them and give them a platform to show us why. So if you're listening to a bunch of nerds geek out and force each other to watch and discuss their favorite films for the very first time, feel free to follow or subscribe. Send us to your friends. And if you like, you can activate notifications so you never miss a new episode. And of course, we're on all favorite socials. Links in descriptions below.
What the fuck do I need Keegan for? This is great.
She did that better than I ever did.
Yeah,
oh my god.
I
didn't
phenomenal. Thank you so much. Well,
I've never done this.
I've now got competition.
Moving on. So, Cal, you've come along this week. You have brought a film for us today, and so I'm gonna throw this over to you for a second. So, Cal, do you want to let me know what is a brilliant film that not enough people have seen?
To me, a brilliant film would be Jujutsu Kaisen 0 that released back in 2021. directed by Sunghoo Park. It's one of my favorite anime movies of all time.
I'm really excited to get into talking about this one as well, but I'm wondering if you have a nice little elevator pitch for this. Do you reckon you could tell me in one sentence why you chose this film to share with us specifically?
I mean, especially with kind of the state of the world and stuff like that, so much writing on negativity and things like that. This is in a world where negative emotion is the power system. Still clinging to your love will triumph over evil.
I love it. You know,
Damn.
We came up with this idea of getting people to do their like elevator pitch for the film, and we've been doing it all season. And every episode, I dump it on somebody, like, you know, 5-10 minutes before we go live. I go, hey, one sentence, you got to do this, and every time they kill it, every damn time. So yeah, great work.
I remember mine being like making you guys hungry and horny at the same time.
And I was sold.
Which one is yours?
Chef.
I did Chef.
Shaft?
Yeah.
Not Shaft. Chef. Jon Favreau's Chef. Johnny made us watch his Shaft.
There's like horny Shaft. Yes.
Oh no!
No. Clip that chat. Clip that chat.
Movie Chef.
No, that was a great episode last week. I loved it. But what we'll do is we'll go around the table a little bit here. Firstly, I'll let you guys know my experience with this film. So, I have now technically watched this film 3 times. The first time was when it came out in theaters in Australia. I didn't
know you saw it in theaters.
I did.
That's awesome.
I saw this in 2021, but I went with a group of friends after work. I finished at 9 p.m. It was playing at 10. And I was like, I haven't seen this series before, but I will go and check this out. And I sat down in the theater and I looked and I was like, that's pretty. And then I woke up at the end.
Oh.
And so I missed out my experience watching this in theaters. It wasn't a knock at the film. It just was like, I was tired. And so between then and now, I hadn't seen it. So when Cal was like, we got to, like, you can watch this, I thought, oh, this is the perfect time to actually, like, experience this film because I haven't had the chance. I mentioned to Cal just pre-stream as well that he has ruined my free time because as it happens with things that I get, like, obsessed with, I watched this film, like, properly. I watched it in the original language with subtitles and, like, I liked it. I was like, this is cool. I'm not sure if I see like the crazy hype around it, but like, it's cool. I like it. It's solid. And I actually called Johnny and I was like, I need to talk about this with someone because I can't speak to you guys about it because we're going to do it on the podcast. And so I got some of his feelings out with Johnny. We talked about a couple of things and Johnny gave me the idea. He said that for him, that it hit a little bit harder when he watched it in English and then also mentioned a couple of episodes of the anime that would help. And Johnny, I actually watched those 5 episodes.
You watched it in Inventory?
Did you watch it? Did you watch it in Inventory?
Yeah, I did. And then I rewatched the movie this morning, and
you get it now, right? You feel the emotions.
Give it to me, bro. Inject it into my fucking veins. Yes.
Dude, me and JJ were like just raving about it this morning before going live.
Literally. That's so funny.
So I had the best time. But yeah, I've now seen the movie twice in its English and original language. I've seen 5 episodes of season 2 and half of season 1, and I got back into Demon Slayer this morning as well. So like, I'm ruined. I'm ruined.
It's on the anime train.
That's it. Yeah.
There's no stopping that one. Then you're gonna watch Full Metal Alchemist, and you're gonna watch Cowboy Bebop. You're gonna watch.
So I've
seen any of that though. Please catch up on Arcane.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, there's
that's a must.
Like in the past, there is a lot of anime that I've watched over the years. I just like stopped like 2 years ago and haven't found my way back to it. But my friend gave me his login for Crunchyroll, and so now I'm back in. But
yay!
Yeah, I'm hyped. I'm ready. And Sleepy Savior is in chat as well. Hey, Rant.
Hi, Rand.
Now, JJ, I'm curious for you. What was your experience with this film the first time you watched it?
So
I remember this story.
Johnny knows. So like, my experience with JJK 0, if I can describe it, I would have to talk about JJK as a whole, including like the first season, you know, the second season, the hidden inventory, all this. I won't spoil obviously anything past like Shibuya and none of that. But when I first watched JJK, I did not like it at all. I struggled with it immensely. It was
I remember
bad.
seeing the TikToks and I was heartbroken. I was like, no.
I know.
Like you were peaking
another
in anime
huge-
in general, right? And
I
you were like,
was.
I mean, what is this rubbish?
Yeah,
because I
what's the
enjoyed
power scaling.
Demon Slayer. Really, I don't know. I really liked it. I liked the relationship with the brother saving his sister and trying to get her to survive, and she's like this little demon that is just a scary concept. Like I love that stuff, and he meets people along the way. Like the power scaling, I could kind of understand it using all these different elements, and then okay, try JJK, fine. And all of a sudden, there's like an influx, an alphabet soup of just like power scaling that I was like, what
This is your reverse curse technique. And this is just your standard curse technique.
reverse
Which
curse
is
technique.
already
I
by
was losing
default
my
negative
fucking mind.
energy. So then what's reversing? And
So then
it's
just turns into
complicated.
positive.
Correct. So when I was like making TikToks and making the tweets, people are like, you need to ignore power scaling and really focus on the characters and like the way the story is kind of unfolding. And another friend gave me like a structure of how to watch it. Season 1, then maybe watch Hidden Inventory. First watch JJK 0 as a prequel. No, Hidden Inventory, JJK 0, and then 1, and then Shibuya.
That's in the story order. Yep.
Correct. And that actually helped me personally to watch in that order, kind of piece together the flow within the time. And Johnny kind of helped with that as well. You did, I remember. I appreciate that. So that made it all the difference for me. And then once I started really focusing on the characters, like Yuichi in particular, like for me, he has a really special place in my heart, being such a little clumsy little kid that a lot of people don't seem to like in fandom, which kind of threw me off. He's the main character. So
I don't like him.
Exactly. So I know. So I'm sorry, Johnny. So like as I watched it more, paying attention to the characters, like really like started to appreciate what the story is about. Literally about people generating negative energy that transforms into curses and killing the world, killing the people. Like that's like the general idea of JJK, and kind of figuring out like what is your place in all of this to help out, to that kind of a thing. So that completely altered my mind once I got out of the power scaling and how that works. To this day, I have seen JJK now in its entirety 9 times.
Okay, and how many times have you seen Hidden Inventory?
17.
There we go.
Damn.
No, I've seen it more time than probably anything that I've seen in ever.
Okay.
I mean, if you watched it, you know how good it is.
It's I'm obsessed with it. And I was texting with another friend. I'm like, I don't know how to describe why I got so attached to this. Like, it's like The Last Jedi for me. It's like the Game of Thrones. I mean, A Song of Ice and Fire, like Dune, like certain Marvel things, like Batman, Matt Reeves is like, those are the projects that I cling my heart onto. And JJK group, I don't know how to describe it. So I love JJK 0 because of, I think Gege Akutami is like flipping the script. Like, you think you know who the main character is? Nope. Wait a minute. We have another little player come into the game. So, and Yuta ended up being such a heartwarming character with a very interesting background and a curse power. So that like completely like took me into the world even more.
Well, I think that's the interesting thing about Jujutsu Kaisen 0 is there's a reason why it's called 0. It was what was essentially a pitch meeting from Gege Akutami to Shonen Jump to be like, this is something that I could make. This is kind of just a one-shot thing to put in. And it wound up becoming popular enough to actually become its own series. And so that's when everything started with Yuji and the gang and stuff like that. And I think after where we're at with like season 1, why stuff shifts to Hidden Inventory is because that's when like the movie and everything like that came out and started to get some traction. And it was like, all right, hold on. We need some backstory for some of these characters to make it that important. So that's why it all comes out in such a weird order. Kind of like Star Wars in that way too, right?
That's a great example.
It's rope you in with the things that are really cool that you wind up liking. Yeah. And now that you're hooked, okay, well now let's flesh it out a little bit more and give you those little hidden bits of info.
I do love that because I feel
inventory.
Like, particularly like watching it backwards a little bit, there's a bit of like expectation and there's a lot of trust in the audience.
Frozen.
Oh, sorry, give me 1 sec. I'm not sure what's happened there.
You're just like,
can you hear me okay? Or?
We can hear you just fine. Your video just froze. Yeah.
Video.
The glory of live video.
Yeah.
That is weird. Oh, Give me 1 sec. I'll fix that.
Is he running to his router? I think he's running to his router.
No.
Is he going to be off completely? Oh, no.
I mean, it's happened before. I think it was me and Pep.
Funny.
We were just talking about Shawshank, and then Naf disappeared.
Kaboom.
That has happened from time to time.
Yeah. It's always fun, though, when we get a shit talk you while you're not paying attention.
I'm always paying attention. What are you talking about?
Sure you are.
You know what's funny though? Even though I've seen JJK 9 times, I've seen hidden inventory like literally countless. I at this point I lost count how many times I've seen it. If you ask me to spell croissant, I'm just gonna kill myself. That's easier. Like all of the curse techniques, like describe it. I have no fucking idea. None whatsoever. You know that that meme on if you ask me to spell croissant, like I'm that same thing with the curse 100%. Technique. I have no idea.
Be thoughtful for just 2 seconds. I just for whatever reason it's not letting me set my camera up again, so I'm just gonna rejoin the chat. So
okay, bye Naf.
Anime
there he is.
Have those tropes where it's like, oh, you know, especially like Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that. It's let's listen to the main character scream for 20 minutes and the bad guy tell his plan and all this stuff, and there's all this needless exposition all of the time, and JJK literally worked that into the power system to say, like, when you explain your technique, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage, which heightens your negative end. Like the fact that they even worked an anime trope of over explaining abilities and stuff like that into the power system. I'm like, this is just, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. I'm like, nothing else has done it.
I genuinely love the Heavenly Pack stuff, honestly.
That too,
yeah. The Heavenly Pack stuff is great. I get that stuff too. The Binding Vows, the Heavenly Pact, I get that.
I definitely want to see more on the Heavenly
how
Pack
that works
stuff.
And all that, I get it.
I hope the anime goes into that a little bit more, because I haven't.
It does.
Yes.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it in the movie. We should be back online properly now. So thank you guys for sticking with us. Apologies about that. I was trying to use my my digital camera for like video feed today instead of this little crappy thing that I have instead. And you know, you try things and you fail sometimes, like the American political system. Anyway, Johnny, what about your experience with this film? How did you find your way to this film? Like,
wait, me, Cal? I didn't hear you. I was
you
too
first,
loud.
Johnny. We'll come around to Cal.
Me. Okay, so for me, when it comes to JJK, I remember watching season 1 and just be like, okay, this is fine, whatever. My brother forced me to sit down and watch it. I think I lost a bet or something. And then after we were done season 1, I'm like, okay, I'm done for now. Let me take a break. I don't even know if I'm going to continue this shit. And then I was talking to my buddy, and he's like, okay. So like before you watch, because like in Crunchyroll order, it's season 1, the movie, then season 2. So before my friend made me go watch the movie, my friend's like, okay, we're going to watch the first 3 episodes, or no, the first 4 or 5 episodes of season 2.
5. Yeah.
5 episodes of season 2, and then you can go watch the movie. I'm like, okay, sure, why not? And then we watch parts of Hidden Inventory, and that was the moment I started getting on board. And then when I finally saw the film, I you know, having all that context, like I told you over the phone when you called me after finishing, I'm like, okay, the relationship between Gato and Gojo, it makes it that much more deeper. Should films stand on their own? Absolutely. But in this case, I'm fine with having to go to prior context. It's like watching the MCU a little bit.
Yeah, so it's like it's having
Hidden
a new
Inventory
hope.
makes JJK 0 so much better.
Yeah, it's a new hope, and then watching a new hope after seeing like Obi-Wan Kenobi or like, you know, the prequels
or Rogue
and Clone
One.
Wars, or Rogue One after watching Andor. It's that kind of experience where you just go like, oh, it's you know, Better Call Saul with the previous of like Breaking Bad adding context, and then watching Breaking Bad again after Better Call Saul. There's so many layers to it now. I was watching a video essay on that this morning that was comparing like story arcs for characters and how they paralleled Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, and how they contrast one another, like with Werner and Walter White and Mike's relationship with both of them. and just context. It's wonderful. But I love when it's not necessary, but it enhances, and I think that's something that this does really well. I watched the film and I was like, okay, cool. That's cool. And then I watched Hidden Inventory and I was like, give it to me one more time.
This is beautiful. Inject it into my veins.
That's beautiful. But Cal, what about you? Talk to me about your experience with this film. Have you seen this 17 times?
I mean, so right? No, I've in totality, it's too much. I've seen season 1 probably 9 times. I've seen the movie at this point probably about 9 times. I've seen season 2 like 3 times, but I've read the entirety of the manga twice.
Okay.
I've read the entirety of the manga twice, and I would say little spurts of chapters here and there just to kind of recap stuff and things like that. But where I got started was a mutual of all of ours, our dear friend Pep, Element 7, was we oftentimes will watch anime into the wee hours of the morning, and he's like, hey, here's one that I've seen like a couple up, or I've seen people talk about and seen some trailers. Would you want to watch? I'm like, okay, sure. So we watch season 1, and I was immediately enthralled to the point where I think before the movie even released, I'd seen season 1 like 3 times fully.
Damn.
And then when the movie came out, I saw it in theaters, like with a buddy of mine. So I drove to the theaters, listening to the JJK soundtrack, was all hype, went to the movie and was like, this looks so good. It was the first time I'd ever seen an anime movie in theaters as well. And getting to see, especially with how gorgeous this movie is, on a huge screen with this, I was like, this was amazing.
There's something that films do, particularly like anime films, because they're coming off of the series. I love that you usually will have like an OST opening and like it kind of sets the tone. And it's something that I found myself like missing from films lately, that kind of like, the opening credits. I watched Casino Royale for the first time a couple of weeks ago and I was just like,
oh my God.
I'm fucking sat, I'm ready, you've primed me, like I'm good to go. Like let's fucking go. There's something really cool about that. And Pat's in chat. Hey Pat.
Hey Pat.
Hey.
Hello.
So you were saying.
Well, so what was really fun for me, that being kind of my first experience of seeing an anime movie at all, I counter to Johnny's point, the fact that I watched this in order of release and stuff like that, pretty much right as everything was coming out, not having that information for me just made me so curious. I'm like, what's the background? Like I'm that kind of person with Star Wars and stuff like that, where I'll see the one, cool looking dude in the corner of a cantina and be like, I must know everything about this character. So for me, it was kind of a tease in a lot of ways. It was giving me that information to kind of hint at there being a deeper connection between characters and story and stuff like that. And especially having seen season 1 so many times, watching the movie afterwards, I was like, what happened to the scene? In season 1, he has a scar on his forehead. Why does he not have a scar on his forehead? So there's clearly some other stuff going on. And like, I'm picking up all of these little things. I'm like, who's that character? They're spending an awful amount of budget on this character to be like, here's some background person that you'll see for 10 seconds. And you're like, there has to be something more about them then too.
Yeah,
if we're holding on that. So like it gets the gears turning and stuff like that for me to watch it in order. That said, I also completely justify Johnny's point of like, for a story that the author admittedly says, I apologize, this is a very complicated story. Like, I even talked to like a nuclear physicist to make sure that some of the power stuff actually made sense. Hilarious. And they said, this is all wrong, I'm correcting everything. If the author gets to that point of everything, it's understandable that as the viewer, sometimes it can be a little much. So watching it in chronological order is definitely a boon.
It wasn't even the chronological stuff that got to me. It's just, at the end of the day, I am somewhat of an anime curmudgeon. I'm very picky with my anime, Like it genuinely got to make me feel something. There's a reason why like I can't get into Demon Slayer. Yeah, see,
if an anime doesn't immediately like grip me within the first few episodes, honestly, it usually sits on the back burner and I go to something different. Not that I won't ever finish it or that I won't ever watch it again. It's just like there's too much content out there. I need to reprioritize, and this just dropped down, unfortunately. So
I had a few good recommendations that I'd gotten into when I was watching anime a lot more, like a few years ago. And one of the ones that just like attached itself directly to my heart, I always like recommend people, and they're always like, what the fuck did you just say? Or no, I'm not watching that. I don't know if either you, Johnny, or Cal, or JJ have seen it, but there's this one anime that one of my friends recommended me a while ago called Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai.
I've heard of it. I've heard
of
it.
That face is the face everyone makes. Like, it's actually, it's so cool. They did a movie as well that I didn't like realize they had a movie for it, and we watched the movie. I think there's a second movie coming out now as well, but it's a really cool. It kind of presents itself as like one thing. Like you see the poster, and there's a girl in a bunny girl suit, and then the first couple episodes have this kind of like, it's a little weird story arc. You're like, what's going on here? But I think it hits like the third or fourth episode. That first arc ends, and you go, oh, I see what you're doing here, and then it just kind of like evolves out, and it's actually so beautiful. But alas, that's my favorite anime. That and Domestic Girlfriend.
What is it called again?
It's called Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai.
I still remember you told me that title of the movie. It still shocks me to this day.
Yeah.
That is an insane title. That is a crazy thing to call something.
There are so many bizarre anime titles. I'm sure folks in chat can sound off with some of the most bizarre ones. Like,
I heard that Jujutsu Kaisen is kind of unique because it's one of the few Japanese animes that's not actually translated, like for the English speakers. Like Demon Slayer, I can't pronounce it. I don't speak Japanese. Like there's a name for it, but it's translated Demon Slayer, Attack on Titan. Jujutsu Kaisen literally has no translation in English. Am I wrong, Cal?
No. Okay. No, it's so that there are some like My Hero Academia is Boku no Hero Academia, but like so there are
someone like that.
Yeah.
I don't speak Japanese.
Yeah,
but...
Kimetsu no Yaiba, I think is...
I'm the Asian one, and I don't speak it either, so we're good.
Actually, we had in chat, Rated M for Immaturity shared Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer. That's an anime title. Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer.
That sounds like the most obscure indie band album name. Like,
it definitely sounds like an indie film.
Is it an innuendo?
I don't know.
I feel like it is.
My brain must know what a biscuit hammer is.
Innuendo.
That's it.
I was gonna say it, and then I was like, nah.
Oh, I'm not saying, bitch.
Well, JJ, you started.
Honestly, if there's one inappropriate joke, one of the three of us will say it.
That'll absolutely.
You know what? We gotta break the ice. Say something terrible.
JJ, you started us.
Show, and it is indeed called Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer.
I want to give my biscuit hammer. No. Anyway, JJ, you started us on some fun facts. You started us on some fun facts before, JJ. Did you want to take us through a few more fun facts that we've got prepared here, and then we'll go into a spoiler alert and jump into an actual conversation about the film?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Let me find your, there we go. Oh, we go. Fun facts. Winner of the 2023 Crunchyroll Anime Award for Best Film. This film hit theaters in Christmas of 2021 and a phenomenal theatrical run that ran from May to following year. It became the highest grossing film in Japan in the year it released and ended up making, holy moly, pushing 200 million worldwide. Being based on the damn, that's crazy. Yeah. Being based in the prequel manga to a very successful name anime series definitely has its perks, some would say. That being said, there isn't really much on the info on the budget of this film. A similar film, Demon Slayer, Mugen Train, that arc, had a budget of 15 million, and a single episode of the series Our Movie of the Week is based on takes around 150K to bring to life. Wow. The film is directed by
Sunghoo Park.
Thank you. And I don't want to destroy people's names. And written by Geige Akutami and Hiroshi Seko, and has 7.8 out of 10 on IMDb, as well as 3.9 out of 5 on Letterboxd. The film actually broke a record in Germany too, doubled in fact, with over 142,000 visitors in cinemas, a record that was previously held by Dragon Ball Super.
That adds up.
Broly.
Yeah, Broly.
With 67,000. Oh, that's a thing. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
Dragon
how
Ball
much I know
Super
about
Broly
anime.
is the name of the film. Yeah.
That's a crazy name. That is an insane name. No small feat. It also doubles as a standalone feature and a pilot episode to the series, not requiring any prior knowledge of the manga or anime to enjoy to appreciate.
Yeah.
Unless you're NAF.
Well, yes. I mean, I enjoyed it enough. It just that, like I said, I think I finished it the first time. I was like, the hype warrants it. It's nice, but like I've seen a few anime films in theaters now, but most of them have been for like anime that I've already loved. Like again, we mentioned Demon Slayer before, and like Mugen Train in the theater was like a transcendent experience for me. I was like, what the hell is actually happening? Where am I right now? Who am I right now? My life has changed. And then I watched it.
Speaking of that, I do regret not watching Hashira Training arc in theater just for that last scene, moment.
I
deeply can regret it.
I picked up Demon Slayer where I left off this morning as well. So like I'm gonna dive right into that. Literally after we get off.
I'm just not watching it.
Nobody cares, Johnny. Nobody cares. But does anybody else have any fun facts about the film?
Feed?
That's it. Yeah, literally just latest.
No, I mean, I think that's the most fun fact for me is that it's JJK 0. It's the start of everything, really.
Wait, sorry, Cal. I just want to make sure here because I'm actually not familiar with the history here. Was JJK 0 the first like actual JJK material released in terms of the entire series? Okay.
Like it was created standalone to be just kind of a one-off story, which is why it is, especially if you watch season 1 where they kind of explain the world and the power system and everything like that, and then you watch the movie which came out after season 1 and they do it again and re-explain everything again. You're like, wait, why are they re-explaining it again? And it's like, oh yeah, they're doing it again because this is actually technically where it all started.
Okay, so here I thought Gege did like what comic books usually do, where they'll do like 15, 16 issues of a comic, which is like 2 to 3 volumes, and then they'll release like a random issue number 0, which, you know, JJK 0, and then they continue the story or whatever. But good to know. Good to know it was actually released in order.
In chat, Sleepy Savior also said that their daughter says hi to everyone. So hi to Ren's daughter.
Aww.
Hello.
Bonjour.
But it's interesting. They're also talking about Demon Slayer season 3 as well. It's like I stopped at the end of season 2, so I'm getting into season 3 now. And the first episode that I was watching, I was like, this is so cool. So I'm a little. Now I'm sad if it's going to go like downhill. But
I'm only a handful of episodes into season 3 myself as well. So.
But I'm keen. But yeah, well, look, before we go any further, all these conversations aren't spoiler free, so we're not necessarily doing a play-by-play, but we're talking about the film with the expectation that you've already seen it. So it's always cool to go and watch the film and check back later. But even if you haven't seen the film, chances are we'll convince you to finally make that leap. And if you want to know what film to watch in advance, you can come in prepared next week. Links are in the description for all socials, so you can check us out there. And if you listen all the way to the end of today's episode, we'll also be revealing our next film and guest right here. All right, let's go. Now, one of the things that stood out to, I think, all of us is just how insanely pretty this film is to look at, you know? Cal's actually got it as his background there, one of the opening shots from the film, and it's so stunning. But Cal, you brought this film to us, so why don't you kick us off? Like, you really mentioned a lot about the animation quality. Talk to me about that.
Yeah. I mean... honestly, as somebody who has poured themselves into JJK as an IP,
poured yourself into JJ, and I was like, hold on, her husband is like right there, Cal,
trying to make me jealous.
Going
tonight?
Back to karaoke night.
Oh God!
But in all sincerity, honestly. For me, why I really love this movie a lot, and honestly, this goes for JJK as an anime. It's like shot for shot.
Yeah,
it's so uncommon for an anime to be that close to the source material, and so that alone for me is huge. But then also when Mappa will take a scene and embellish it and add so much more color and life to it. It's
shout out to the Black Flash scene.
Oh yeah,
100%. Like I was really worried when I continued to read the manga after season 2, which is where the current anime release is, that I would be spoiling the experience. But with how much love they put into the animation of this series, it's only gotten me more excited. Like I was really worried that I was like, man,
continue.
Yeah, like it's just real pretty. It's real good. They kill it.
I was thinking about this a lot where when I got back into anime, like one of the things that drew me back in was Demon Slayer, and it has this really unique and beautiful like art style. And then I found that went back and rewatched a lot of like Dragon Ball Z because I needed it for the nostalgia. And I was like, Dragon Ball Super, this is gonna be like awesome. And I got in and I was like, where have the last 30 years of animation quality gone? Why does it feel like it came out like it just, I was like, I'm not sold on this. And then what's wild is going and watching like the movies and seeing the animation style in the Dragon Ball Super movies that have come out be like so good, and then going to the series and going, I don't vibe with this. And I saw it as like, I can understand it being like a nostalgia to like how it used to feel, but I found that it's like similar to like how like Pokemon exists now in like game form, and I feel like I've like outgrown Pokemon because like they keep trying to like, I'm like, I don't want what it was. I want it to be new. I want it to be fresh. I want it to feel bigger and grander. I don't want the same thing all the time. And so it's really
without
refreshing.
any of the negatives.
Yeah, it's like I think it's really refreshing, like looking at like I love animation in terms of like media. It's my favorite art form above all else, and seeing something that just is that has so much like care in it. We talk about it all the time. It's like when I think about animation, the thing that I love the most is that often, I'd say like 99.9% of the time, nothing happens by accident. Every little leaf that you see there in your background was placed there on purpose with some kind of intention. Like it is actually like a work of art. And sometimes there are things that when we're watching like a standard like film that's just shot in real life, there are like happy accidents, and we can like attach meaning to these happy accidents. Like this little thing in the background, this is what it meant, and often there is some reason behind it.
Their head.
And other times it's just like it just happened. It wasn't a thought, and it's not a thing with animation. And as you like get even deeper into it with like you've got the animation side of it, and then you've got like the claymation or stop motion or those things that you just go like, the amount of effort that goes into every single frame here brings it to life. And yeah, the animation style in this it's stunning.
Yeah, and like you kind of hit the nail on the head with all that too when you were talking about picking a thumbnail and struggling, and you're like, it's just everything. Every shot that I'm looking at, it's gorgeous. And every single frame is like you could frame it and throw it on your wall.
Yeah. And like I'm really happy with how the thumbnail like ended up. I had to added little like anime blush to him when he looks at it. I was like, that's nice. And a little heart in there. I was like, that's beautiful. It's literally like it's an allegory for like me chasing dangerous women, not children, because that's weird. But like demon cursed women, perhaps. Like that's that's the difference. Yeah. What about for yourself, JJ? Like any thoughts on the visuals in this film?
I that's probably one of my second favorite part about Jujutsu Kaisen, especially because I'm not somebody that gets into the whole power scaling system of it. I like the characters and I like just how gorgeous it looks in general. Like a particular, are we talking spoilers now or not about the film? Okay, like the moment when Yuta walks into the classroom, how the mood changes, the kind of background, the
Kana and Inumaki just
like they're all casually sitting and just immediately
what just happened. Like that step, you got the slow mo and like the shadow is kind of looming over him. It's so cool.
And the way, like for me, the biggest emotional center of JJK has always been that relationship with Geto and Gojo. I think their breakup is what destroys the world. Like, I'm not trying to be dramatic, but like these are two very overpowered individuals who literally they split and everything went to shit in a lot of ways. So like I love how it plays with the sunset and those colors of red and blue into the purple, which kind of is associated with Gojo's powers, especially like you see the level of sadness in the shot with because Geto to me is so dramatic. I fucking love Geto so much. I love him. I can't describe it. He has a special little stool where he can lean on menacingly, and it's like my favorite thing. Right before he cures the little girl from her curse,
Yeah,
and like later on calls her monkey. He literally just has he sits down and
he's got a leaning stool. Like it's just
a singular armrest. He wants to be comfortable when he takes over the world. Or correction, not takes over, purifies.
Yeah. I mean, the way he sits, obviously, the traditional Japanese way, but he's got a little stool so he can put his arm like this and just like be menacing about it. And like, and then Gojo lean, as I like to say it. And in the background, you have the sunset that kind of foreshadows the end of the film. Like, it's so beautiful. And I texted Johnny when I was watching a film, like, this Geto and Yuta fight goes so hard. I rewound it 7 times. I kept rewatching it. Like, to me, JJK is probably one of the more, I have not seen a lot of anime. Like, Attack on Titan is beautiful too. I don't like the anime on its own, but it's beautifully shot and it looks gorgeous. But JJK is a whole new level. Like, it's stunning.
Yeah,
I love it.
For an idea of how much this movie honestly means to JJ, like, this isn't today. This is like, I think Tuesday or Wednesday. JJ just is messaging us in chat, and then she's like, and then I just tell JJ, like, like, I didn't feel a lot when Mekamaru died or anything.
Oh my god!
Spoilers for season 2. Sorry, I should have said that earlier. But then, like, I don't feel like that. And then JJ sends me a picture of Geto and Gojo in their final moments in this movie, and just like, do you feel anything when you see this picture? And I do. That one genuinely makes me feel something. So when you can get the cold robot to actually feel something, it hits.
I've seen this movie 9 times now. Like, every time they're saying like the final thing, like, I am a ball of tears. I am gushing tears, especially when you have context of hidden inventory. And then if you read manga, everything that happens later, like, I am just literally, it destroys me every single time. To me, JJK 0 is worth Geto Gojo moment at the end alone. Yeah. And he does my favorite trope, which we can discuss it. It's one of my favorite tropes of all time.
Is that the one where they should kiss?
I want to add on to that scene specifically. So this kind of ties back to what I was saying about Mappa really embellishing and adding to the experience of it, because that scene in the manga, when there's kind of a flashback part to it, it's literally just them younger and him being like, oh, I didn't know you still like thought of me that way, or like felt like, being whatever.
That we should kiss.
But in the movie, right? But in the movie, they actually cut 2 scenes that are in season 2 with the hidden inventory arc.
I noticed that the second time around.
Exactly. When I first watched it, I'm like, this is just, it's berating me with imagery that I don't have any understanding of. Whereas in the manga, like, that's not there because that story hadn't been written yet. So for Mappa to take the time, and that's how they love this, like, what they're doing with this form of art, is they take the time to add that. Like, they didn't have to do that. They didn't have to give us a tease, essentially, of some of the flashback scenes from the hidden inventory arc, but they did. And it's gorgeous.
It's beautiful.
And at the time, you don't know the. Sorry, I'm like, at the time you don't know the context of it, but obviously there is something there that intrigues you, which is why, like, and I'm gonna mention it because it does my favorite trope, not just in anime, in media in general, when 2 characters say something to each other, but you are not allowed to hear what it is. Like, I've been in Reddit forums, I've been in different like comment sections and YouTube discussions, and like, what did Gojo say to Geto? It does not matter for us.
It's not for us.
It's not for you. You shouldn't even like question what it is. That's why I'm like, I never want to theorize about what Gojo said to Geto. Whatever it is, it's not for us to hear. Like, some movies do that and they do it really well. I think this movie did it like flawlessly. But again, it does help if you have some context from hidden inventory. And
what I love about that too is when you have those moments, right, where there's unspoken dialogue, it helps make the characters feel more real. They're having a conversation and we don't even get to know what it is.
We're not party to that conversation. Right? We just have to understand that, like, it's like,
and that helps those characters feel real.
Exactly right. There are so many instances, like, it's like one of my favorite like what falls into that sort of NAFCOR category for films that I love is I love that kind of feeling that I'm seeing something that's like so raw and real that I feel like I shouldn't be here, you know? And
Yes.
when I'm in that state, I'm watching something like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and I'm going like, this is
Same.
so raw and painful that like I feel like I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't see what's happening to these guys, and I'm there. Like, that is exactly where I want to be. Fun fact as well, just in chat, they were talking about the production time for this film. And Rated M raised the question that supposedly the film was made in about like 2 months, but I just did a little bit of research here, and one of the animators for Jujutsu Kaisen 0 mentioned that the film was completed in 4 months.
There's
That's
no
really
effing way.
Wild.
Like most
That's
shows
not
take
real.
way longer.
There's a sequence, I think, in Attack on Titan, just one sequence. I'm not going to say which one it is. It took apparently 3 months to animate one sequence out of a 4-season show.
I think what's interesting too is like if you break down what this is an hour and 40 minutes, so it's like what seven episodes worth. So if we say what 160 versus like 7,
Excuse me.
like it's about $1.4 million it would take to make this as episodes. And if we like equate the budget of like Demon Slayer to something like this, it's like if you have 16 million instead of 1.4 million to put this together, you probably could bring down the production time a lot because you add a lot more people into the team.
That's true.
I don't know if they added more people onto the team as the concerning
I doubt it is the thing, considering everything we've heard from Mappa lately.
Yeah.
Well, so there's rumor that there's a scene in season 2 that it's kind of a destruction scene and stuff like that, but there's a rumor that the animators put in the Mappa studio like building to be destroyed because of how overworked they were.
Wow.
But
like they were
unfortunately,
working
that's just
until the
a lot
episodes
of
would come out.
yeah. That's a lot of animation studios in Japan. Unfortunately, worked to the bone. Supposedly, it's been getting a lot better, but
Japanese work culture is a very in-depth conversation.
That's honestly a good segue to talking about like the power system of JJK and the fact that like there's so much negative with that work-life balance and the fact that like you're not supposed to burden others with your own expression and emotion. You're just supposed to keep your head straight forward and continue on and all of that stuff, not letting yourself express those emotions, having it bleed out into the world and form these curses and stuff like that. It's all what JJK is at its core. And I think that's wild.
That is one of like the key themes that you mentioned earlier. We were kind of like laying out the main things we wanted to talk about, like that like emotional suppression is like a key theme here. JJ, do you have any thoughts on that as like a theme in the film?
On JJK as a movie or Jujutsu Kaisen as a whole thing?
In like seeing how they kind of like showcase like emotional suppression as like a theme within the film, and how these guys like bottling things up and they're turning into curses that then kind of expel that way. I think like if you think about Yuta's like arc in general in the film, that's kind of like the key there.
Well, Yuta and Toge, they kind of like Inumaki. We love Inumaki. Like they are sort of like in the same boat, essentially. Like what they are and who they are can harm people in large scale. So they have to sort of like either find a way to control it or close
hinder
out
themselves in some way.
In some way, either shut out or I don't want to use the word what I want to use, but like that fear that you're going to harm large amount of people, like that's gonna like put you in a state of mind that's not even healthy for you, which that increases those negative emotions that feed into the curse system in JJK, and I think a lot of it. And again, I always go back to Gojo and Geto. For me, they're such a central emotional conflict of the story. Same with them, like. I think Geto gets more expressive when it comes to what he actually feels. Like Gojo is sort of balancing. He's trying to be a good mentor. He's trying to be a teacher. He's trying to like make changes while he's also suffering and struggling and the sense of loneliness. So all of those things kind of seep out into this world. So I think that's again one of the main things what attracts me to Jujutsu Kaisen as a concept, as this anime, besides like the power scaling that turned me off initially, is like I never thought about like it is such an original thing to put into an anime to use our emotions, whatever you're feeling, as the villain. That is the villain. It's ghetto. It's the system that the Jujutsu Kaisen kids exist in, but ultimately we contribute to it. And it kind of like Cal, you said it perfectly right now, like the state of the world, especially post-elections, what's happening in the Middle East, like all of these things kind of tie into like how people are feeling and feeding into the negative emotion. And Yuta like reaching that freedom towards the end to finally be like free of it is very cathartic to me. I think that's why this movie works so well for me.
I think that's like to kind of add on to that. I think it's an interesting stance to take, essentially villainizing repressed emotions.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that that's an interesting way to kind of frame things, to be like, really, the enemy in JJK is the fact that everybody has all of this negativity that seeps off of them and goes completely unaddressed and unacknowledged, to the point where it just sits and festers and becomes literal monsters. And that's what we should be fighting, is that entire concept.
Yeah.
And how much can you take as a person? Like, even like, to me, like when the mother and the daughter come to Ghetto for a cure or whatever you want to call that, it literally showcases, like, do you feel heavy on your neck, on your shoulders? Do you feel tense? Do you have these dreams? And even with Nanami, when he goes to bakery, I think in season 1, like the little girl that's selling him bread, it's a little monster on her shoulder. Nobody can see it. Obviously, he can. It's these little small things that we all have that, and then you have the sorcerers that come in to ease off that burden.
Because so, like, they don't seep any negative energy. It just is their power.
Yeah, it's literally who they are, right? So
I find that I find one thing really interesting here, because like as you guys are talking about it, it is kind of like opening my understanding to kind of like what's going on here as well. Because I know that particularly in a lot of like Eastern like culture, and more kind of like in the religious side of things, there's this sort of concept that like true enlightenment is essentially being in control of your emotions. That like when we were, if you are driven by your emotions, you're like a lesser evolved like being. And again, not necessarily just like around that in general, but it's like, you know, that's
to quote Ghetto, a monkey.
It's
a monkey.
When we were evolving from like animals to humans, it's like that consciousness and being aware of your emotions is like what separates us from like a dog. The dog doesn't know why it's sad, you know. It's like it's just sad, and we understand that. And then often there are a lot of ways that people like view that as that enlightenment is when you recognize the emotion, understand it, and don't allow it to control you. And it does seem like that's kind of exactly that. So you normal people that are all being driven by their emotions, they're kind of lesser evolved, as it says, and that's kind of Ghetto's drive for, like, we are more enlightened, we kind of deserve this. It's almost like not the ideal way that it should go. I think his the flashback that that Satoru has around that shows up in the hidden inventory arc, where he's the arrogant one. He's like, oh, I can't be bothered with this. And Ghetto is the one who's going, we exist to protect those who need protection. We protect the weak. That's what we do. It's wild that the cards flip so insanely there. And I think particularly like with Yuta and was it Togo is the other guy? You mentioned JJ around like their isolation, and I feel like what we see here is the ideal outcome of like how someone who's isolated can find what's the word? Their way kind of out of that loneliness, which is I think a theme in this film as well.
Break the cycle of it.
It's like that could go so differently. It's like often when you hear about like tragic things that happen, it comes from a place of someone who would isolate themselves or felt lonely or felt separate from the pack and go, okay, the only way to fix this is like I need to find a way to, you know, exist within here. There's
find your community, honestly, because there's no solutions within isolation and within yourself.
Yeah,
like, I mean, I always quote Breakfast Tiffany's, like, people belong to each other. We belong to one another. Like, it's fine to go on like large scale isolations to kind of find yourself and like clear your mind. But like we as humanity, I think we belong to each other. Yeah. So that's sort of like, to me, the theme of JJK, finding that little group of friends that are going to be there for you, that understand what
family.
The found families. Yes, exactly
Yeah.
that, right.
There's a
Especially when you
line-
have things in common, like especially when you are sharing kind of similar circumstances, somebody that can understand you. Because again, Toge and Yuta can go out in the world, but they are, by all sense of purposes or definition, monsters to others, because they can cause crazy amount of harm if not in control of those powers. So
there's a line that Yuta says in the film that like I had to write down because it just like
I think I know what one it is.
It rocked my world, and it's Yuta going. I think Maki says to him like, "What do you want? Like, why are you here? Why are you at the school?" He goes, "I want to be needed by someone. I want it to be all right that I'm alive." I was like, oh,
that destroyed me. That was one of the most profoundly felt
he would have cried.
I wish I heard that when I was younger.
Wow.
That line right there was one that I clinged on to. That's why when you were starting to talk about it, I was like, oh, I know exactly what you're gonna say, because that line hit me so hard, because I've felt that in my life. I'm like, for once in my life, I want to know that it's okay that I exist.
Yeah.
That like there's
here. I mean,
I have a purpose. I'm wanted. I'm not a burden to anyone.
Ooh,
and I
burden.
think
That's a good word. Yeah.
I think, especially with Yuta as a character, it starts with his inability to let go and the fear of loss and everything like that, in a very Anakin way, to kind of tie it back to Star Wars, but
just without
he quite literally ties poor Rika to himself because he couldn't let her go.
Exactly.
True.
And the fact that because he did that unknowingly, but I mean, it's a kid, right? It's a kid with immense power.
Right. It's a 10-year-old,
that like, a kid doesn't really know what that type of stuff really is, but because he couldn't. Exactly. Right? But because of that trauma and because he couldn't let go, now he has this curse following him around that literally makes every single interaction he has with anybody miserable. And it's not until he starts to learn and not just learn to control it, but understand that this is my burden to bear. I need to take responsibility, accountability, and ownership. That things start to get easier for him, that he finally has that reason to exist, and it is now okay that he's alive. He's no longer a burden. He's no longer all of these things.
But not just that, just like sharing it with the people he's found, right?
But that's exactly it. It's his relationship with Panda, with Toge, with Maki. Like once he becomes friends with them and sees them, acceptance. And even Gojo, as cold as he can be and kind of off-putting and kind of like goofy with his students, he cares. And you see that through a lot of his acts, especially at the like I think it was a hospital when they're having a conversation when he's trying to figure out like Yuta's background and what's going on with the curse and all of that. Like Gojo cares, and he shows it time and time again, whether with Megumi, whether with Yuta, whether with Yuji. He's like the perfect mentor in my opinion. Like, and he doesn't like try to come off corny either about it. I don't know if that makes any sense. No, like he's not trying to like be preachy.
As you said earlier, JJ, it's very much leaning into that feeling that like we belong to one another, and to like put that thought or that feeling out there for like listeners as well, right? There's the experience that like I think it's very common, as we said in like the intro, that like we go through shit, be it parents, be it like first loves, be it like early loves, like all that kind of like I've carried that stuff with me in my life as well, and you carry it as like a weight, and it almost is a bit of like an allegory for like, go to therapy, like it's that side of things. But I think that the key here is like you don't have to do this on your own, and I think that when Gojo finds Yuta, he finds him isolated, he finds him on his own, and he says to him like, we're going to school, like he
literally wanted to die.
He was there.
He tried to die.
He tried self-harm.
By the end,
he did.
What unlocks his sort of full power, his full potential, is looking at the people around him, the people that he loves so much, and it's not even him going, you like killed or you hurt my friends and now I'm gonna kill you. It's the holy shit, these people are so fucking amazing. Like they're so amazing. I've got this. Like go for it, JJ.
I need to be better to be with them.
I
don't want to fall behind.
You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yeah.
And sorry to cut you off, JJ, but that honestly, even when he's not snapped, but like when he's in the fight at the end and he uses cursed speech and literally all he can say is, you know, die. Like, but then immediately for him to reel at how hard it was and be like, oh my God, Inumaki, you are amazing.
Yeah.
Like you are like, this was so hard for me and you make it look easy. Like you, like the fact that even in the midst of everything, he's still thinking about the people close to him and he still thinks so highly of them and is trying so hard.
It's like,
no, genuinely, I love it because
I love him so much.
If you think about like Yuta imbuing more of Rika's cursed energy and spirit into the katana, it works as perfect symbolism for more of Yuta opening up with his friends, right? Him discovering more of his power, him opening up more with Gojo and his friends, him gaining that self-confidence to even stand up to Geto, even when he shows up at Jujutsu High, just going like, you and I can clean this world. We can rid ourselves of all these monkeys, including Maki. And then you have that perfect moment that I find so fulfilling for you to actually standing up.
When he pushes his hand off his shoulder.
Like, nope.
There's I was just thinking as you were saying it too, it reminds me a lot of like Darth Maul and Ahsoka in the Clone Wars, of that he's got her, and then she says, what do you want with Anakin? He's like, well, we got to kill him. She's like, no. Bitch,
wait.
like,
you were so close. No. You could have done it right there.
The other thing that I find that really similar in is like the conversations between like Rey and Kylo Ren in The Last Jedi. To make my necessary connection, like those moments where I think, Ben, don't go this way. He's like, he has everything he needs right there. He has her. He just like, he can't bridge the point that he needs to bridge, you know? Like that's similar to like Geto. It's like and we'll get to kind of like his true nature as well. But like there's one of the things that we were talking about a little bit, and just one of the ones that stuck out to me a lot, and it's these kinds of themes around like letting go, particularly. You know, it's like this until Yuta can kind of go over to Rika and say like, take me, like I'm ready to die, like I'm ready to let go. I understand the consequences of what this decision means. I'm ready to die. That's when he can like really truly start to
let it go.
You know what I mean? And
that's
I feel like
symbolic of being one with existence in a way, right?
Right. That's being alive.
You're no longer attached to everything. It's, you know, I've accepted the here and now.
It's often that it's I saw someone explain it like this. Oh, and your cat has a fantastic point, JJ.
I want to cut you off. I need to hear what JJ's been trying to say.
Yeah, we keep cutting her off.
We keep cutting JJ off. I need to hear it.
It's okay.
The floor is yours.
I know it doesn't really tie into anything anymore. Just going back again to Yuta and Gojo for a second, because I really enjoy their mentorship and their relationship as like a senpai and a student. The fact, I mean, Gojo could have easily been like, oh, Yuta, this, and this, but he just lets him go into that classroom, literally gives nobody any information about anything. He's treating that situation like it's perfectly normal because he wants Yuta to feel normal. He wants everything to feel normal. That way they can kind of, and all of a sudden Rika just pops out because again, they're like so aware of like what's going on.
Before
but,
Rika pops out though, I love it when he just goes like, oh yeah, so like he cursed his best friend as a child. And now she will come out to fight with you.
But that's how much he like, and he says now. And he says that like later on, like we need to let kids have a life. That you cannot take youth away from the youths, essentially. So he like plays into that a lot, even with Yuji and with Megumi and with like now with Yuta. Like when you look at the three relationships with these three boys that he kind of mentors, like he could have easily just warned everybody. He could have easily told Yuta what the school is about. He just wants to like act like all of this is normal because to them it is. Like
welcome to your new normal.
This is your new normal. So you're like trying to ease them into that situation. And I always find it so comical. Everything is like, oh shit, I forgot to tell you. He's got a Queen of Curses attached to him so they can fucking kill you all any second. Like, and he's just like, wee, that kind of a thing. I fucking love it.
I love that moment
love
where
it so much.
like Yuta goes like, oh, I had no idea that's what this was. And everyone kind of has that.
You didn't tell him?
You didn't tell him? I love it. I love it so much.
Is this a test or is he actually messing with us?
Yeah.
The best part is, while we can read deeply into it and assume that this was all according to Gojo's plan, it's also entirely in the realm of possibility that he is just that neglectful and just
That
like,
too.
yeah, we're figuring
That
it out
too.
live.
You're
Let's
right.
go. Like,
That's
and
exactly
that's what I
right.
love is that it kind of works
for his
both ways.
character either way, because
Totally.
it's the either I'm too powerful to actually realize this as in to like actually see this as a threat, or I'm so powerful I know what's happening here and I'm like 20 steps ahead of everyone, like fucking Batman.
The fact that the JJK Akutami created this character that is literally God,
Who he loathes.
He hates him. Like I think
I'm not gonna lie, I'm on Gege's side in a lot of ways.
I have a hard time
Which
being on
is
Gege's
fine.
side on this one, but the fact that he like not only created this God version, like totally favorite anime character to everybody ever. When you look at the polling and like discussions,
Oh
but
no, he's hot.
But he also made him kind of dumb and goofy and ignorant and like and arrogant.
God is dumb.
That
And it's just-
was in so I have like the character guide and everything like that has a lot of Gege's like own thoughts on everything. And one of the thoughts that he has around Gojo is I made a character that their only flaw is them as a person. Like he's good at everything and will be the best at everything except being a good person.
Good person, yeah. That's
He's one of the best people.
And that's why I think Gege like hates that so many people love Gojo, because it's like he's not a good person though. He's not a good person. The whole point is
directly past you.
It's okay.
Right?
It's Rated M in
because
chat
the
says
whole-
that Gojo is genuinely their least favorite character.
Okay, wow, I guess I'm the only one, I guess.
No, I
I
love
was gonna
Gojo.
say, like we all know Gojo.
Yeah.
The sad truth is I think why a lot of people have their own opinions on the series as a whole is they lose who the main character is.
That's true.
Because a lot of
Yuta.
people cling to Gojo, or a lot of people will cling to Yuta and stuff like that.
But no, like, I think Gojo, I don't want to say I'm comparing. I'm going to make that super, super clear, like nuance, everybody, please. Like people's reactions towards characters like Paul Atreides, towards Anakin Skywalker. I'm going to use Eren Yeager. Eren Yeager is another example. Like you have to understand like what glazing versus understanding means. So, to me, I think that gets lost in the translation a lot when you look at these characters. Like they're evil, but they have a thing in them that's not completely evil. They're not devil incarnate.
You
they're
can
not
enjoy bad people. Like villains are good characters, but it doesn't
Hello.
But that doesn't mean you're taking life lessons of like be bad, right? Got it. That pays off. It's like no cautionary tale.
I think same goes with Gojo. He's not a villain, obviously, but he, like you said, he is a bad person. He's kind of dumb. He's kind of goofy. He's kind of arrogant. He's kind of childish. Like
He'll fuck
all
with
of those
Megumi.
things.
Dumb, goofy, arrogant, childish. If this is the criteria for a bad person, I'm done. I'm out. Goddamn. I lost the game.
Checked out.
But people glaze him as like the greatest ever, just because
the reason
he can
why
like
he's
has
so
Jesus
strong
powers.
is because he is all of those negative things.
That is very true.
That's why he's as strong as he is. I mean, obviously, being born with
The six
everything
eyes,
that he has
the
going.
limitless technique.
Yeah, but that being said, he is also right.
And that's one of the main, another main theme in JJK.
Pulling back the. Oh, here's a fun fact. So where Gege Akutami got the bandage look for Gojo from, and the reason why it's in JJK Zero was from Naruto, actually.
Okay, never mind.
There's one of the proctors in the tuning exam that has bandages over his eyes, and he's like, I like that. That's neat. I'm going to make a character like that. The reason why the blindfold changes... No, it's not Kakashi.
No,
it's a random
Kakashi's,
no-name proctor in one of the exams that just looks cool.
I'm not that far into Naruto. I'm only about season 1 towards the end. So, and
you're doing One Piece and Naruto.
I'm not doing One Piece. Are you fucking kidding me? It's like 10,000 billion episodes and it's not done yet. Like, I'd rather eat a bullet right now than watch One Piece. I don't give a shit how good it is.
The reason why it changes from the bandages to the black blindfold, it's just easier to draw, man.
Easier to draw. It looks good. It looks good.
I'm personally more just, for the sunglasses. Just
sunglasses Gojo is elite too. And you guys were talking earlier also about like the whole Yuta letting go of Rika finally when he's like ready. That plays, that whole theme is also with Gojo and Geto at the end. Like 2 characters here, the student and the teacher letting go of a massive burden that's been like haunting them. So Yuta is letting go of Rika and Gojo lets go of Geto finally.
I think seeing the hidden inventory arc added to that so much as well, because it's like there is this moment in which Gojo could end it all right there, and he actually can't. And again, it's very like Anakin and Obi-Wan.
The KFC breakup,
like it's actually so like painful to watch. And by the time we get around to the end, and you have that moment of you were late again. It makes sense that you're here at the end. Hit me with some curses or something, and down to like the final moment between these two is like it's human, it's almost like I found that Geto's goodbye is almost kind of the most insulting and most beautiful at the same time, because like Gojo can't even give him the like the superhuman death. I'm gonna throw curses at you. It's just a
slice.
Yep.
No matter what anyone says, I always hated those monkeys.
Yeah. And it's like, yep, and you're gonna die like one. Like that's.
And I think it's, and I think I'm really glad that they kept with him, that he didn't change all of a sudden. Like, oh, I was wrong. I was just no, they're still like, filthy monkeys. But I don't hate everybody.
Who.
Yeah.
He's, I honestly, I think that's a thing that I like to see in my villains. In stories is
sexiness.
I wasn't wrong. I still stand by.
Yeah, I still believe everything that I did, and I just lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't wrong, but I lost.
There was interesting.
Have you guys?
Go ahead, JJ.
I was gonna ask, like, do you guys read into the romantic subtext between Goto and Gejo, or Goto and Gojo and Geto, or no?
I can see it. For me, that wasn't ever a focal point to it at all, but I don't hate it, and it still makes sense. Like I'm like, yeah, that would make sense.
I think
it's a huge subset of fans. Yeah,
I could see it as well. I find that like I have like, I mean, you guys will know this as well, because like I love you guys too, but like I feel like I've evolved like my like friendships, particularly with like the male people in my life too, beyond how like normal guys would interact with one another as well. Like I very much take to heart the like Lord of the Rings aspect of like, I am going to share like every aspect of myself, and I'm going to love you. And if one of my friends, a boy, wants a kiss on the forehead, motherfucker is gonna get it. Yeah, like I will hug you.
Well, if you told me that, I would have given you a kiss on the forehead before you left Vancouver.
I'm like, I am here for it. I'm here with like my whole heart. So I find that while I'm okay with that as well, I'm also okay with it being like a Sam and Frodo. It's like, like this is just like pure love that exists here, and the love doesn't necessarily need to be romantic. It could be romantic or platonic, whichever way it falls is fine. But like a platonic love,
it could be all of it at once.
Be beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm in two camps with it. It like very strong soulmate level platonic relationship that's devoid of weird and awkward like romantic feelings, but also I see the other end too. I could totally see it. For me, it works either way. It's just when two people have that such a strong connection, literally they break up like friendship or romantic, whatever it is, like causes all of this mess. Like, I was just curious what your feelings were when you were watching it.
For me, the entire time I kind of had a similar feeling to, I guess, how Naf's describing it is. It's for me, it goes the same thing with that scene being unspoken. I don't need to hear it. I don't need to know what their relationship was, because it's so apparent that it was the most important relationship either one of them had. Yeah. Like, literally, there is no one else more important to the other person. And that, for me, came off across. So I'm like, I don't need to know any further than that. Like, it's checked the box of understanding for me, that I'm like, yeah, this is like a deep bond, and the deepest bond either one have, whether that's romantic, whether it's platonic, doesn't matter. They are each other's most important person.
It's also just like the last time they truly felt the most vulnerable with someone, I think,
like
right?
persons. I think they felt most persons like when they were with each other, like especially in like in inventory goes even deeper into that. Like the beach scene is a very classic example of like just them existing as friends, as whatever, like as students, as normal, two normal kids on a beach. Like that's probably the last time.
Yeah, they're the people that you allow to see you. And I think that last line that Gojo gives after we lose Geto is, you know, like, oh, where did you find my ID? It's like, I didn't find it. My best friend did.
My best friend did.
My only friend.
Probably. It's like, that's the only person who got me. And I had to take him out of this world. That is absolutely heart-wrenching. Go ahead, Cal.
The other thing with that as well, part of the reason why they're as close as they are is they're the only ones that understand what strength in the Jujutsu society is.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
And there's that distinct moment, and this is spoiler for season 2 in Hidden Inventory, where that paradigm shifts. And now it's no longer we're both the strongest, and it's very clearly one of us is. And now that emotional connection that we used to be able to lean on no longer exists.
But I do gotta say this, and this is spoilers for what's to come even after season 2. So anyone who hasn't read the manga, really tune out a little bit. But
I don't think Naf has either, so let him.
Oh, okay. So just quickly, Naf, don't listen. Don't listen in. Do not listen in. Okay, so it's funny that that Gojo says that line specifically to Yuta of all people, though, because in the end, I feel like Yuta truly does understand Gojo the most. So it's interesting for him to be that level of vulnerable with Yuta of all people.
Here's the thing, though, Johnny. Is it because that was said?
I'm going to say yes and then yes.
Okay. Rated M also said, I actually do see the romantic aspect harder there, but then maybe because they remind me of Xavier and Magneto so much, and I've always gotten that vibe from those characters.
Oh, interesting.
I have been saying Gato is the Magneto of this entire series.
Honestly,
that is really interesting.
I support Gato's wrongs like I support Magneto's wrongs.
It's like, like JJ, you'd mentioned around like Gato's true nature. And so it's probably a good time to almost segue into that conversation a little bit as well. Like, what are your thoughts on what he's trying to achieve here?
I believe, honestly, like in maybe just my interpretation of it, I think Geto was always going to be what he is. I don't think nothing that happened to him would have prevented that. Again, this is somebody whose technique is to absorb other people's evil. That's literally who you are. You're absorbing evil and you're holding
their
evil.
burdens from them.
Correct. How does that not break you? Eventually it will. Like, how much of a burden can you carry in your back before it breaks you, before it turns you into a monster? Because let's face it, as much as I love the character and I love him, Geto is a monster who views literally people as cattle, which is insane. Do you know what I mean? Like, ultimately he wants to wipe out humanity. That's his goal. So, like, I don't think he ever stood a chance. Honestly, literally eating burden of everybody else. And then the catalyst, obviously the conversation with Yuki, and then like Gojo's absence, who could have maybe kept him in check, maybe could have given him a ray of hope. Like, we got to hang on, like through humor, through being goofy, through going on a beach, doing this, like showing him.
But I think that's why as soon as they weren't the strongest and they weren't going on missions together and things like that. And it was just very clearly like, now I'm just the person delegated to clean up the filth of the world and
filth of the world,
How does hidden inventory start again? Exercise, absorb.
And nobody understands how bad they taste. Like trying to
tastes
swallow
like a rag
that was
covered in vomit and shit.
Vomit.
Yeah.
And just like you see on his face, even like through Gojo's absence, like all his wrinkles show, like even wrinkles on a young face like that show up, and like just his face is gray, or he just
like the bags.
He perpetually has dead eyes.
Yeah, he does.
And the only time that he doesn't is when he's fighting Yuta and fighting other sorcerers, and he realizes like this is like what things are meant to be. It's supposed to be us. And that's it. Like nobody else matters. It's just sorcery and just sorcerers and things like that. And like that's the only time he feels that spark of life.
And like to me, it was very sad. Like I think it's the only time he smiled towards Yuta because of Rika, like just the power of Rika that he wanted. It
was a very fake smile. Yeah,
it was the only real smile was at the end. Yeah, which one?
I never knew you were such a womanizer.
Oh, the womanizer.
Fucking simp.
Before, yeah, I'm like that actually would have been the perfect moment to like introduce profanity in this film. It's like I didn't realize you were such a fucking simp. That's where it should have been.
Honestly, I would have supported that.
Well, to me, like, took me out a little bit. I don't. Maybe that humor didn't work for me in that moment. It took me out.
Part of the reason why it would take me out is Geto's somebody who loves
I wish Geto would take me
old-fashioned things, and calling somebody a simp would be something too new-fashioned. There's a reason why he puts on old robes and kind of has this old monk aesthetic, is because he likes the classics. He likes that kind of thing. So I think for me personally, it would stray away from his character too much.
Sure,
however, as an edit, it's fucking brilliant. It's hilarious.
That's funny you said that, because JJK in general plays with the idea of tradition versus new age thinking, and how to step away from the conservative way of running these societies. So that's
looking at you, America.
A very large conflict in Japan as people. It's very much young versus old, and the younger people that are tired of repressing themselves, tired of just always doing what somebody says because they're older and all. Like, I get into like the society of Japan and stuff like that.
But even like
Geto
knows, like, when he's like, oh, I bet Yaga is losing right now his mind when he like threatens the society. Like, he can like read everybody like a book. I swear to God.
There's one moment in Hidden Inventory that I want to talk about as well. That like literally destroyed me. And it's like the pinnacle moment in that arc, which is the girl getting like shot. I was like,
Rika?
Yeah.
Rika?
Oh, wait, no, not Rika.
No.
It is Rika. Rico, yeah.
Rico.
I like that little moment where she's like, I actually don't want to go. I want to live and play, and I want to stay here. And I was like,
and then you get the music.
Like, come on, let's get out of here. I was like, yes.
I would have loved to see your face after Toji shot her. I would have, like, that to me took me out. I think I fell off my couch when I saw that.
I paused. I'm like, excuse me.
So
damn, I could not believe what just
reaction,
happened.
Job's done. Laters. I was like,
that.
Peace out, bitches.
He's like, I killed Gojo and I killed the vessel. Done. Yeah.
Well, and I think that's that moment specifically, and again, this is essentially not even about the movie at this point, but I think
I was gonna say we should do Hidden Inventory when it comes out as a movie again. Just the four of us would be pretty fun.
I'm here for it. I think that moment in particular hits him so hard because he knows the only reason why Toji would be there is because Gojo's not there to stop him. Mm-hmm. And so that's a double whammy, and that's just enough to completely snap and break him as a person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And later on, like, you know what happened when he brings the body of Rico like into the it's a church, just I can't remember,
applause.
But like, I could kill them all right now, and none of that would matter. And that also.
I love Gojo's line, like, we could do it. But at this point, I don't think I would feel anything.
Yeah. Well, that's a tough one. All of those things add up to Geto.
Interesting thing to note as well. I love a lot of really tiny details and things.
So does JJ.
When there's the conversation between Yuki and Geto, and he kind of starts to have revelations, the rain in that scene turns into the applause from when they were delivering her body. Mm-hmm. So if you're paying attention to it and you listen to that next time, and you hear it turn into that applause as he has that moment of revelation of, I know what I need to do.
We're going to go watch that now.
I'm watching Hidden Inventory for the 20th time after this.
Yeah. That's one of those things that it really hit that way for me. I was like, oh my God, he's literally thinking of that moment and those people that he saw as so beneath him. It's time to take Gojo's approach at this point.
And then Gojo
the only solution
as well.
Because she presents him with two paths, and that's him making his choice of what path to take. Is reflecting on that moment and reflecting on what Gojo, the strongest, would do. Mm-hmm. And so that's when everything kind of clicks to him and he becomes who he is in this movie.
There's that line as well where he says, you know, like, if I were you, my crazy ideas would be somewhat like doable. You know, like it could work. But I think
you could make it happen.
Yeah, like key to those characters is like I think that there's that experience also that everyone goes through in their adult life. And even like obviously when you're younger as well, but I think generally you kind of experience it more as an adult, and it's those kind of like friendship breakups that happen, be it due to time or be it due to like something, you know, like you grow up and you expect that people are going to be around for a long time, and I feel like we're so wired, as JJ said earlier, like we're meant for each other and we're built for connection, that it's so often the people you have in your life right now you feel like are the people that are going to be there forever, and it's like, be it through circumstance or like health or like whatever, it's like it probably isn't the case, you know. We were talking earlier around like that feeling of like letting go, and how when you let go or have that sort of like detachment, I suppose, to a certain point, that's where that sort of happiness is. And there's layers to that as well. You have like the Zahirs in Legend of Korra who detach, and you go, maybe you're a little
I love
detached,
Zahir,
but he's a great character. But I suppose
actually, don't spoil nothing for JJ. She's not that far yet.
Those friendship breakups hurt, and you experience that in this film. And as we said, that feeling of or that theme of letting go is so key here.
I've said it before, like friendship breakups to me are far worse than romantic ones.
Yeah, I could see it.
I can see it.
Romantic breakups, I feel like are quick to turn to spite.
Very.
Whereas
like
friendship breakups are just devastating.
They linger on.
It feels like a part
forever.
of your familiarity and day to day is gone.
I haven't recovered 20 years later.
Yeah, like I think that it's quite common too, and having like even gone through some of that stuff recently as well, like it's like you feel it like in the sense of, as you said, Cal, I feel like if it's a romantic side of things, it's like it can turn to spite quickly, and you can just kind of like armor up a bit, you know, and not that that's the right play, but like it can happen, you know. And the flip side of it is like the friendship side is so like, hold on, like this is something that like we could like we've got generally so much more history than like a romantic side, you know, like this is something that we could have like fixed, and then you didn't even give the chance for the other party to fix. It's just like it's just happened, you know. Particularly when it's like that sort of intentional breakup, and this is something as well where it's like, you know, you see the hidden inventory and you see this and you go like, there wasn't a point really for this to be mended. Just one person made the decision, this isn't going to work, I'm going to go. And
pretty much
that hurts so much more because you have no say.
There's no closure.
What's going to happen?
No, none whatsoever.
There's just one person stepping away, and then
and the other person has to be okay with it.
And their friendship is so rooted in the ideology too, like, because again, they're not dealing with problems at school, at work. They're dealing with literally curses of the world, end of the world. So like, pick your path. And Geto was, I think, always teetering on chaos.
Yeah.
So it takes a little correct. And
I feel like it's the opposite. I feel like Geto is so logical and so rule based that this is the only option. We have met with this problem. This is the solution. I'm just gonna go do it. Whereas I feel like Gojo is much more of the chaotic one of like, let's just throw everything to the wind and see what happens.
I meant more like as in like, how do you view like who's gonna wipe out the humanity? Who's gonna wipe out a village of 100 people to save 2 girls? Even let's say those 2 girls are tortured by 2 people. You killed the 2 people that did that, but no, he like took it out on the entire village. So like that's sort of what I mean is living on that edge, like of like literally just like protecting the weak to saying like you don't even have a right to exist. You are impeding on the higher evolution of a human being, which is a Jujutsu sorcerer.
For me, I feel like that's so intrinsically logic based, right? It's no longer you did bad thing, I'm going to punish you for doing bad thing. It's now people like you just don't need to exist anymore, because no matter what, it's not just these 2 girls, it's everything. That is an interesting view. And that's why he calls anybody who's not a sorcerer monkeys, right? Is he's labeled them all with the same stamp.
Yeah.
It's how he has to rationalize everything to be this hard, cold cut rule of there's no exceptions. I killed my parents. I mean, like there's no exceptions.
That's like common in, if you look historically at any time like genocides happen, the first thing that happens is the dehumanization. You got to look at it as like, this isn't a people, this is animal.
An animal,
and you see it repeat, you know, you see it happening right now. You see it happening, you know, earlier in the 20th century. Like you go back far enough
No,
It's
that's a good point.
every point of colonization where you come to a new land and you take this space. It's like, well, these aren't like people, so this isn't their stuff. Like it's ours for taking. And so I think that to that point, you're right, Cal. That I think that once he connects that bridge in his head, the only logical thing he can do is generalize and then make the decision off the back of that. It's like naturally, I think a chaotic decision, but as you said, I think that his generalization there to kind of lump everyone in the same space is what allows him to view it as just a.
It's forcing logic in a chaotic situation.
Yeah.
So would you hold on? This is very interesting. I never thought of it that way. I always.
Because for me, that's why when Gojo says, "What about your parents?" and he's like, "They're not exceptions. I killed them. Like I had to. Like I'm not above. Like it wouldn't be fair if I didn't."
So would you say that Eren and Rumbling is a logical decision for Eren?
For him, yes, because he saw the future of what was to come and the fact that he couldn't break it. So he submitted to the logic and the ruling of it all and just went forward with what he knew was going to happen.
I feel like it also even is like potentially like Paul Atreides in like Dune Part 2 as well, where at a certain point I guess it's like this isn't going to make any sense to anyone else because nobody else knows what I know or nobody else sees it the way that I have seen it. And so I feel like it's for them internally, it's the right logical decision. I think that's the making of a
the Thanos.
They're so driven by this is the only outcome. And you can look at, as you said, Thanos and go like, I get it, but like,
I was thinking Reed Richards.
The universe, like, come on, you know, like you don't have to do that, or like, you know, get her, like you don't have to get rid of all these like monkeys or Paul Atreides, like you don't have to go
the
and
people that are just
war
innocent people,
galaxy, you know. But it's like,
but it's that logical.
It's a logical fallacy.
It hits their logical truth of like. No exceptions, because if I start making exceptions, now it's a gray area. Now it's chaotic again, and I can't deal with that chaos.
Yeah, it's like you either lean in fully or you don't do it.
So sorcerers, monkeys, parody, everybody else. Empire, everybody else.
Yeah.
Fremen and Paul's Jihad, everybody else.
It becomes literally evil at that point, where it's I have my hard coded rules, and I have to abide by them.
I never looked at it that way, as in like that being like the less chaotic way. Like I always
chaotic evil is Mahito. Mahito's chaotic evil, where he literally
oh my god,
whatever I'm playing, like it's just chaos.
Very quickly, just don't forget Nappa is not that far into season 2.
Oh, he's not. Okay,
keep that in mind. Let's please keep that in mind for Nap's sake.
Yes, but yeah. Anyways, that like him as a character is chaos, whereas Geto is lawful evil.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good way to put it. And I think that's the key, right?
Or even
us looking at it from the third person perspective, like looking on, it makes a lot of sense for us to look at that and go, this is actually like this is chaotic. I think it's our perception of what he's doing versus his perception of what he's doing. I think that's where the break is. We're going to perceive it as chaos. He's going to perceive it as logic.
Because people are dying.
Yeah, same sort of in Part 2, and you go, I'm going to nuke the planet. I'm going to nuke the planet if you don't fight me. Everybody else there could be like, bro, what the fuck is wrong with you? Nuke the planet. Don't do that.
Because for anybody who has to cope with it, it's chaos.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
That is really
but for him, he's already made the decision. He's already defined it all, and now it's just one step at a time.
Yeah.
Left foot, right foot.
I really need to go rewatch Dune.
In chat mentioned as well, just on the Eren point, that Eren is a Sisyphus archetype in their opinion.
Oh, interesting.
He can't break the chain.
I really need to read Chariot of the Gods.
The burden of prophecy is always a very huge thematic element in a lot of these stories. That when you're burdened with it and you see the future, like
that's one of my favorite tropes as well, is like trying to break the future and inevitably causing it. Like Cersei is part of that, like Feast for Crows. Like I don't want this, and then you made it happen, bro. You made it happen.
She's doing everything to avoid what she thinks is going to happen. She's going to make it happen inadvertently.
Same with Anakin, right? Like
same with Anakin Skywalker. Same thing. Yeah. That's a good point.
And
there's so many parallels between JJK and Star Wars, by the way, that I've realized because
now you know why I love Star Wars and why I love JJK.
I was thinking about it so much. There were so many bits that I wanted to like bring it back, and I was like, I don't want to keep saying this, you know, because at the same time, it's like, you know, like you've got like Anakin and his chaos and like needing like Qui-Gon and needing that kind of like mentor. and having a brother instead. And I go like, these are Obi-Wan and Anakin, when like, who was Geto's Qui-Gon that he needed to keep him, you know, like his North Star.
Just more Gojo.
Yeah.
His North Star, who is it?
Yeah, it's like that's what you want to find, you want to feel, but it's hard. One thing, other parallel that I found watching it this time is it actually felt like the finale of Harry Potter in a bit too, like drawing the veil over the school. And I remembered that moment in Harry Potter in the last film. And then also, you know, the kind of Voldemort versus Harry moment, they kind of like, you know, touching beams at the end, no homo.
Touching tips.
And then also I
was literally doing the same thing, Johnny, just not on camera.
It's like this is a moment in which like effectively like a god character, you know, like an untouchable person dies like a human death, which I think is more prevalent in my understanding in like the Harry Potter books than they are in the actual like film. But there were those couple little parallels there too that I feel like that is so cool. And again, you could tie that to like Darth Vader as well, having this very like, well, I'm out, boys. Later.
I'm out, boys.
I got electrocuted. What up?
But I think that there's so much to take away from this film as well. As we like, this is a conversation that could go for hours and hours and hours. And I really like the areas that we've delved into too. But one of the key points from yourself, Cal, too, especially bringing this movie to us, is kind of talking about what we can learn from this story and these themes. Yeah, like you mentioned how a lot of how this is put together can become like intensely personal and give you stuff to take away. I think that's something that's really common with anime as well. Like as we said in the intro, like this is something that at face value is, oh cool, demons and curses and stuff, and you peel back the lasers and you go like, I need help, I carry burdens with me, I suppress my emotions and I isolate myself when I should lean in and get support from the people that love and care for me. Like yeah, did you want to expand on that at all?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of touched on it earlier with Yuta's line specifically about I just need to know that it's okay that I exist. That line genuinely, I don't think I've ever felt more seen as a human being until that line popped up. Because not to get too real in podcast and stuff, but I'm somebody who was that low, who tried to themselves and things like that. And so like for me to have literally felt the same thing and see so much of what I've experienced in my life come true as well, of finding the people that just accept me. It's not me needing to wear a mask. It's not me needing to be anything else other than who I've always felt I am. Yeah. And only then have I started to like really heal as a person and genuinely find like actual like tear jerking happiness of just like, this is what it means to be loved and to feel alive and that it's all of this is okay. Yeah. And I think that this movie showcases those same emotions, those same feelings, but with curses and a power system and stuff like that of it's not until you really find the people that you can feel safe and be okay being you around that you start to realize that maybe you were cursing yourself the whole time. Damn. You know, maybe this is stuff that like you actually have control of, and now you have people that can lift you up and support you and all those things.
Well, honestly, when I was is Jojo, sorry, not Jojo, but like Gojo saying, the only person who can unravel the curse is you. Like you pick it apart.
Growth only happens when you want it to.
Yeah.
No, legit.
Like to not jump off of that, like point too quickly as well. Like, I think it's really important to grasp as a people and obviously as individual as well for you, Cal, like just how much love people have for you. And I think I speak for everyone here and the people in chat as well. Like you're amazing. Yeah? Like we love you. Like we're glad that you're here. I'm glad that I got to experience time with you in person in another country, you know, like.
Oh yeah.
Crazy.
For you, it was another country.
You know, it matters.
For you, it was too, Johnny.
I don't know. I call it Canada's butt, so I don't see it as too different.
Yeah. Well, we love you, dude. Like,
that's why I say like it does bring those moments of healing and happiness and stuff like that, because I feel it. It doesn't need to be stated. I can just feel it based on the fact that I don't need to repeat myself, the fact that I'm being heard, listened to, that people take what I say and jump off of it and add to it and things like that. So
that's it.
To everybody in chat, to everybody here, nothing but love.
I do want to quickly add on to that.
Yeah? Like we were talking about that early on. That's the point of the podcast. Is this is giving a space for people to talk about something and to be recognized that their their thoughts, their like meanings, the things they extrapolate from these stories and these bits of art matter. It's like we were talking off stream as well, Kala. Like if somebody came in and like, I wanted to show you like Rabbit in a Snowstorm from that episode, those episodes of Daredevil, which is just Kingpin staring at like a white wall.
Thank God I'm not the only one who thought that.
I would sit here and go, yeah, give it to me.
Hit me with it.
Feed me, you know? That's we love it.
But I do want to add on to what Cal said, because genuinely, like, because JJ was rewatching it this morning, I also went to go rewatch it, which worked out since I was able to hop on. But like while I was rewatching it, like Yuta's entire story truly makes me think of the quote from Legend of Korra Nath at the end. I'm not gonna say who, what, or when it comes up, but we got the quote of, when we hit our lowest point, we are open to the greatest change. And I genuinely feel like that encapsulates a lot of Yuta's character in this film. And it's just stunningly beautiful.
Yeah, that's it. Like, it's in that moment that he can like unlock those parts of him that he's never been in touch with. And it's beautiful.
And I also think it's important to, at least in this film, because it's a huge, I think it's thematic element of it, as much as like people do belong to each other, and I firmly stand by that, and being seen, like Cal, like you said, to be loved is to be seen and to be understood and to be accepted and heard. It's also like knowing when to let go, how to like rid yourself of burdens, how to say goodbye to people that you love, that friendships end, relationships end. So it's like, how do you process that? Like, not all of us can process breakups, particularly breakups with friendships, even romantic ones, like with Yuta and Rika. Like, that was a tough one for him. And even you see, and this is why I love this movie so much, it does play into the childhood whimsy a little bit for how serious it is, like on the stakes level. Like when Rika is for a second even jealous, a little bit of Maki, and like plays into, who is she? And it freaks out. Like it plays into those small little things about relationship between people. Even she's like ready to let Yuta go. He's ready to let her go. Gojo's ready to let Geto go. Geto's already let him go. So I think that's also part of like our evolving process as people, finding people that you love, but also letting go of people that no longer serve you emotionally, physically, intellectually, whatever it is. So it's how you deal with it. And Gojo and Geto, unfortunately, they didn't deal with it in a very healthy way for a long time. So I think this film was a letting go point for them.
I think there's another good point to be made there too, is it's not just about letting go of people and relationships and things like that. It's also letting go of the you of the past.
Oof, yeah.
As well. And the fact that like it's not until Yuta has that conversation with Gojo about the concept of curses and breaking them, and it has to be, you know, the person who's cursed that breaks it in those situations, that Yuta literally puts the ring on and he says, in my time at JJK, I'm going to break this curse. I'm going to do this, right? It's not, you're going to help me do it, you're going to do it. It's that acknowledgement of, I'm going to break this cycle of self-hate, loathing, pain, and stuff like that that has been looming over me. I'm going to end that. And especially finding out that at the end of the movie that Yuta's the one that cursed Rika.
Yeah.
It's all him. It's all him. So the fact that he's breaking the cycle that he did to himself is huge. Very poetic.
There's a quote that that Timothée Chalamet shared in one of the what's the word? That he shared in one of the like promotional clips for Dune Part 2. And it's him saying, you can be the master of your fate or the captain of your soul, but you have to realize that life is coming from you and not at you. And that altered my brain chemistry. Like
that goes pretty hard. Might I also add, like, it's never too late to like start something new and figure it out, find some new people too.
Yeah.
I mean, look at us.
Yeah, literally, like I always associated with like our friend groups and the communities we've made through like different fandoms. And do you know what I mean? Like, it's like I've had friends in my life that I had to let go and kind of sever those emotional connections with due to various reasons. It's like you always feel like down and lonely and like and it's not. I don't think that's a natural state of being to be lonely. We belong to one another.
You should not be lonely.
Yeah.
Correct. And then like Yuta finding those friendships with like Maki and Panda and Toge and like eventually Gojo, like not to spoil what happens in the future, like it's like it was never late for him. Like he went through all this with Rika and he had friendship with her. She died, and then he went through this long process of being like suicidal because he was danger to himself and to the others. Like
don't demonetize this YouTube.
Right. Yeah, and they found something else. They give him a purpose of life. It's
I think it shows.
Oh, sorry, Cal, you go first.
I was gonna say, I think it just shows that like being surrounded by that kind of love, acceptance, and things like that isn't going to fix your problems, but it takes the constant struggle you're dealing with, which is rampant loneliness or self-loathing or whatever the case might be. It takes that burden away from you to where now you have the energy to actually fix what you needed to fix with yourself.
And that's what he did with Rika. Yeah. He let you perfectly said it. Like he's the one that broke the curse that he placed upon her because he couldn't let her go. He didn't expect Maki to do it or Toge or even Gojo to do any sort of like. It was all on him. It was absolutely all on him, and especially it came at the cost of like Maki and Panda and Toge being injured by Geto. When he saw them, he's like, I will lose these people. Something has to like. I need to push myself to like figure this out right now. Otherwise, my friends, the one that took me in, will die. So
yeah, sort of explained in a way that like you only have like a limited capacity for like your energy that you give out, you know, and where you put it is limited, right? And it's often it can feel scary to pull that energy away from someone that you want to invest that energy in. But if it's not being like reciprocated in that sense, or it's not renewing you, then freeing that energy up to be put somewhere else, while it could feel scary at the start, is actually allowing you to love something else like more. You know, like you can't hold on to something there. It's exactly,
you're no longer in an energy deficit anymore.
Exactly. Like he's holding on to that burden and like he can't let go, and so much is put in there that when he's finally able to let that go, like we don't know where his story goes from here, or maybe we do, I don't know, but I don't know where his story goes from here, but I imagine that like it evolves like exponentially from here, you know, and there's an insane amount of growth. I also didn't realize there was an end credit scene in this film, so I saw it the second time around and I was like, oh, cute. Johnny, are you serious, Mr. MCU? Are you serious right now?
Okay, someone remind me what it is, because I might have seen it.
Yuta in Africa.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
that's how you find out later that he's in Africa.
Yes,
in season 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why he's not in season 1.
Okay, so I have seen it just off YouTube and not as part of the film. Good to know.
You're wild. Well, guys, like collectively, do we have any more final thoughts on the film before we move to our cinema a la carte?
Dude, this is probably the most profound episode of One with the Films ever.
You'd be surprised. We have a few of them.
This is a very good discussion. Thank you, Cal, for like making me look at things a little bit different that haven't considered. Like I always thought. Yeah, no, this was very insightful. I'm dead serious. This is like almost, I don't want to say light, maybe it is life altering. We'll know. We'll see how I approach other media now with this point of view. This is the whole chaos versus order conversation. Very interesting.
I think the reason why my brain goes that way is just being a DM in Dungeons and Dragons and being so intimately familiar with like the lawful, chaotic, evil, good chart that is thrown around all the time, and be like, okay,
how would a lawful Machina, by the way. I'm watching Vox Machina. I'm gonna get into Central Roll. I just subscribed to their Spotify.
Watch that next.
And thank you to Tito's in chat as well, saying that we have them all emotional over there as well. But no, seriously, like yeah, it is another really like profound episode. I like loved having this conversation with you guys as well. I think that we touched on a lot of really like deep points that again, just like how we do on this series generally. It goes so far beyond just, hey, here's this little movie, let's talk about the movie. It's like, this has meaning, this is special, this means something, to you, Cal, for coming and sharing that with us. And so I love that we got the space here to go to those places and experience what this film means to
we
you.
should definitely do hidden,
I'm not gonna lie.
Inventory.
When we were in the hot tub in LA, talking about what movie, that's when we had the conversation of all of this. When you asked like what movie would I want to talk about, And I brought up JJK 0. I genuinely, like, in that moment was like, this is stupid. Like, no one else is gonna think of it in a, like, this is a movie that means a lot to me, but like no one else is really gonna care. Like, you get filled with all those like negative, intrusive thoughts and stuff like that. But I'm really glad that I told myself to take a hike or those thoughts and just trust that like this is the right space and stuff like that. So I want to thank everybody here for genuinely like
you are
taking it as seriously
welcome.
as I do.
You're absolutely
even if you suggest something and people don't watch it immediately, it'll catch up eventually. Like word to mouth and like just talking about it within our spaces. Like, oh, this sounds interesting. Like Vox Machina and Arcane for me, JJK for me. Like I would have never considered these things. I mean, oh, you should watch this. I have a lot on my plate. Let me get to it. And you get to it, and all of a sudden, holy shit! I'm wearing a fucking ghetto T-shirt. Hello, I have a comfort choso for the love of Christ. Like that's where I'm at. And it's like, for somebody that hated it.
Cal, also keep in mind the first movie I ever brought on here was called Shaolin Soccer, and it was the most over-the-top Chinese Hong Kong style movie ever. So,
and I think that's the
key
to
fine.
What this show is again for like kind of first-time viewers as well. Like because it's so key. Like key to this show isn't, hey, let's like circle jerk the main films that come across. And we've had stuff on here like Shawshank Redemption, and we've done other Spielberg films. We've done some classics, but like the fact that at the end of the year, like Reign of Fire will go up against like Schindler's List in our like awards at the end of the year is like that's the realest part of this, And the key is, if it matters to you, it matters to us. That's what this is. That's the statement that this show has for people. It matters to us, and all of you guys.
I did win a movie of the year for on your show, so I really appreciate that. I don't win.
Shameful
that
it's not on display behind you, JJ. But
oh my god, it's upstairs on my vanity where I look at it every morning. Damn,
that's better. I'll take it.
I'm dead serious. Like it's on my vanity. So like good. I don't have a lot of trophies. That's the one that I have, and I love it.
Earned it, baby.
It's my favorite movie of all time, so I'm happy that I won for it.
Yeah. I'm really excited for our next one with the film. He's like early next year as well. It's gonna be huge. We've got a lot of films this year. But thank you so much for bringing this movie. Let's transition on over to our cinema a la carte. Now we always love to wrap up with a little
this
game.
Should be fun for me.
Cinema a la carte. This is what we call our little game. So this is a reminder. This is where we get to show you the best way to experience this film through the metaphor of food. Now, if you're Johnny, you're going to show us the worst way to experience this film. It's going to be a really solid 4th place, but the rest of us will be contending for top 3. Now, each of us have prepared a menu of our own for this week's film, and this has this week's film as the main course, and that's along with an entree or an appetizer to start. We're pairing it with a wine and then a dessert to complete your journey, and you get to decide which set menu you love the most. So let us know in the comments or in chat what you want to pick. Now, I'm going to set us up. I've done this like 2 or 3 times, so I'll show you a little bit about how this works, and then you guys can try and follow me.
I'm scared of what your options are because I have a feeling we might have something alike.
I found out that I originally did, but changed my mind and changed my answers, and have thankfully, straight away.
I changed my mind mid this podcast, though.
That's okay. That happens to me as well.
I have 0 backups this time. I usually have backups, but I don't this time, so this should be fun.
I don't. I got my meal, and if it happens to share some similarities, hey, we got good taste.
There we go.
All right, so the title of my set menu is "Oh, you're ready to die? Then you're probably ready to live." And all of my films follow this kind of theme. So we start with our entree, our appetizer. And our appetizer for today is Guillermo del Toro's Pan's Labyrinth. There were so many Guillermo del Toro films that I could have chosen here, but this is the one I wanted to go with. Naturally, themes of like death, persevering, and like letting go and moving on beyond, living your life or trying your best to, or making the most of a shitty situation. These are core to this film. I think that it's a really cool parallel to something like Jujutsu Kaisen. We take Jujutsu Kaisen 0 as our main course, our meaty main, and we're going to pair that with a very soft wine that comes from the forest. It's out in nature. It's been set to rest underground in a valley with giants and all kind of crazy things.
Yeah.
And this is The Green Knight, a film starring Dev Patel, another film that it's somebody needing to let go of not necessarily like a relationship, but like a desire or the outcome. It's letting go of what you think is going to happen and accept what will happen. And it's one of those films that I love because, particularly in that tail end, you've got somebody who has expectation of where their life is supposed to go, what it was supposed to be, and it doesn't go that way. And it's not until there's that moment where he can finally go, you know what? No, I accept it. I'm here. I'm taking it as it comes. This is the repercussions of my actions, of my vanity, that's resulted in me being here in this moment. I'm ready to take it. That's when he can finally go and live his life. And for dessert, I've recommended this quite a few times on this podcast, but I will be recommending it once again. And this is Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
Okay.
Last Wish, sorry.
I did consider that movie though, funny enough.
The dessert, like it's giving you, it's a bit more fun. It's got some like Attack on Titan kind of elements early on as well, and then you have the like key to it is this, like it's this. What does my life mean to me? What am I doing? What?
Hi, Pepper.
Like I can't let go, and until I let go, then I'm not gonna move on. She's so cute. Oh my goodness. So yeah,
I'm getting shown up by a cat right now.
JJ's just trying to distract from my like winning cinema la carte. So anyway, my choice is.
That's the real plan. Is
my agenda.
What I had on my
now we're all just on the cat.
So like just running it down from the top again. So it's are you ready to die? Then you're probably ready to live. We start with Pan's Labyrinth. Our main is Jujutsu Kaisen, pairing it with a wine of the Green Knight, and then for dessert we have Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Cal, you want to go next?
Yes, please.
Me.
So my cinema a la carte, I have put together. At first I was thinking, oh, these all need to be movies, but then I threw that thought out and just kind of came up with what I did.
I've done TV show episodes.
So what I have is, thankfully, a list of all things. So obviously the entree being JJK 0. Everything else is at least a 1-season show of 10 episodes or less. So.
Okay, I'm adding these to my
I watch 97-course meal, bro. Come on.
Right? I like to eat, okay? I'm a big boy. I like food. I eat good food, okay? It's all good here. Yeah. But mine is titled, You Should At Least Curse Me at the End. AKA things with very bittersweet endings. The appetizer for this, kind of set you up with some it gets you emotionally prepared for your meal. And that would be Cyberpunk Edgerunners.
Yeah.
It is a very... The world of Cyberpunk is one where there's no happy endings. It is a story that will kind of rip your heart out in many ways. That is also very much about love and things like that. But ends in a very kind of somber, bittersweet way. Kind of sets the tone for everything, for the main entree being JJK 0. Which we have all talked about to a huge degree, but, has some mild horror elements to it, mental health themes, ends more sweet than bitter, thankfully. But that's going to be paired with the wine of Uzumaki, which is more on the horror side of things, but keeps the same kind of message of kind of letting go and accepting the way that things are in this very twisted, quite literally, atmosphere. And then the dessert to top it all off with a treat of Devilman Crybaby. Very weird title, but it's another anime that gets very philosophical, but also kind of plays into the horror and bittersweet ending of kind of giving yourself to everything. And it's all very tonally the same, visually similar.
Uzumaki looks really cool.
That's
it's
really
fantastic.
Good. I've seen some commercials, yeah.
Cool.
This
is great for me.
But
as well,
that's my meal.
I need some more anime to dive into as well. So just give it to me from the top, Gal. So
so appetizer, Cyberpunk Edgerunners, entree, JJK 0, wine, Uzumaki, and then the dessert, Devilman Crybaby.
Hell yeah. Cool. Awesome. I love it. JJ, do you want to take us into the next one?
Mine is not going to be as deep as yours, guy. I haven't thought about it this hard.
It's okay. There's 4 spots you can land in, and 3rd is okay. So it's 4th.
So I guess I'm going to try and keep it really simple. So what JJK 0 is the entree.
Yeah. For
the appetizer, maybe Demon Slayer, I would say. And when you focus on maybe Nezuko alone, for me, I think she's such an emotional center of the entire story, being a little demon that is sort of like alone and feared and trying to unleash her potential while being hunted and hidden from sunshine. So I don't know. I feel like it works in like visually and power scaling, and if you're gonna be in the similar realm of that of that type of anime. For me, it works. I like team ups of friends teaming up together to take down evil demons and curses. So for me, it works. For wine, right? For wine, I would say A Song of Ice and Fire.
In totality.
The entire book series.
The
entire book
320
series
hours worth of audiobooks.
10,000 pages of unfinished story. They may never get finished. So, and the reason I say it is I think of Daenerys being lonely and overpowered, which seems been a very strong thematic element in JJK of literally being burdened with power and you don't know what to do with it sometimes. And you're trying not to let it overcloud your judgment. And for the final dessert, I'm gonna say my third favorite film is Lost in Translation.
Oh, yes.
The reason I say that because I love the unspoken moment tropes, and I think JJK, Geto, and Gojo really play into Scarlett Johansson and Bill Murray moment at the end of two people. No, it's not. There's no romantic subtext there. It's just literally two people in a really loud place that are extremely lonely. And one of them has a bit of an ego god complex. So for me, it works.
Yeah, that does work.
So maybe start off with Demon Slayer to ease off into JJK, have a little bit of Daenerys lore, and then finish it off with a little bit of contained chaos and loneliness and loss.
My original appetizer was Mugen Train.
Yes.
But I changed it because I was like,
Mugen Train is amazing.
Oh.
It's amazing. It's so good.
Spoiler for how I felt. I genuinely was in a VC with Pep and Brandon, our friends over at Dyad in the Force, and was literally in tears for 30 minutes after that movie.
Yeah.
I think I know why.
Honestly, I need everyone to send me a list of things that makes them cry, and I need to see if it can make me cry. I'm legit just trying to make myself cry.
Yeah, just remind yourself you're alive, you know?
I mean, do you want torture porn? Do you want...
torture porn just gets my jollies going. It doesn't work.
Okay. Romance, like heartbreaking stories.
Yeah, that would work.
Okay.
Demon Slayer, I think, is the number one thing that's made me cry the most, and that's just because I am best friends with my sister.
Okay, that would do it.
So for me, it's an intensely personal story.
Me too. I agree.
My best friend is like a sister, I won't lie.
The when I was talking about before, the Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai, that was my biggest cry to anime. Demon Slayer was
okay. Jesus Christ. Okay, we're making a list for me. Anyways, I guess it's my turn.
Yeah, awesome list by the way, JJ. Really, really good.
Yes. Oh, do you have a name for it, JJ?
Do I have a name for it?
For your list?
Lonely God.
Oh God, I like that.
And fun fact on that as well.
That sounds like a really good cocktail.
Yes. God can be anything, not really cosmic religious figure. Literally
could be a drink.
An egomaniac, a God complex, somebody overpowered, somebody just with a burden of burden with glorious purpose.
Thank you, Loki.
I was going to say that when you were talking about it before, but we've actually done an episode on Lost in Translation as well. We did that in season 2. That was one of my
God, I love that.
We had Spen Kenobi on, who was absolutely fantastic. I miss Spen.
Me too.
So Spen, if you're listening, we love you.
Good choice. Very good choice.
Johnny,
one of my favorites.
Give me fourth place, buddy. What does it look like?
Oh my God. For the record, I was not originally going to show up tonight.
For the record, this was all his idea.
Last minute, and then he goes, oh yeah, by the way, you got to make this same. Which, by the way, I had it done before he sent me a message because I am a good friend who knows what the show's all about. But my list is called Take On Me. Yes, after that hit song by Aha. Anyways, so my appetizer.
Last of Us.
Yes, also that, but... regardless, so my appetizer, I want to start off light. I want to start off hearty, you know? So I went with Elemental from Pixar.
Oh, okay.
Very much a story about finding yourself, that acceptance, that love within an environment that doesn't entirely feel right to you, that doesn't really accommodate for you. but nonetheless, you find your way through. Of course, our entree is JJK Zero. And for my wine pairing, this is the one I was scared Naf was going to mention because he did mention this, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
My favorite film.
One of mine as well. But yeah, no, this film genuinely reminds me of, that aspect of you losing someone you did and still very much deeply are in love with. And finding it upon yourself to try to get rid of that, or in many ways, placing a curse upon yourself just with that burden,
Wow.
So that's why I chose Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And for your dessert, I chose The Boy and the Herring. Very much a film. Oh, in that case, I will shut up from there. All I'm going to say is I think it works well with this.
The English dub features Mark Hamill and Robert Pattinson in lead roles.
Hey, yo.
Really?
And Willem Dafoe.
Oh, you had me at Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, the latest Miyazaki film.
Yeah.
I don't know why I haven't seen it yet, but it's on my list to see. I've seen all of his films. That one, for some reason, I haven't. I don't know why.
Like, I haven't. Your prior point, Johnny, I think like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind kind of prompts that question. Like, is it better to like carry this memory and all the things that I learnt from it with me, or to like rip out a part of myself so that I don't have to feel it? And that is like every feeling I've had in my entire life.
And definitely invokes those feelings in JJK Zero, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How's that for fourth place,
Not
you
bad,
bish?
not bad. All right,
It's
so,
still fourth place, but
yeah, exactly. Like, you don't win just because you've like pandered to me. I'm gonna start calling you Dave Filoni. You don't make good Star Wars just because you put out.
Okay then.
Hey, I got that. No, it's all good. And Rated M in chat also recommended to all of us and to all of our listeners as well. Look Back. It's a 57-minute film that released recently about grief's influence on the creation of art. Just please do yourselves a favor with this one and check it out.
Look Back.
I will add that to my list as well. Yeah, guys, but please, let us know in chat which of those cinema a la carte you're going to use to sort of watch this and build off of that. But it gives you a few more things to dive into next if you like this film, or if you're wondering if you'll like this film. If you have listened all the way here, please don't forget to like and subscribe and share the video off with other people, so we can get the word out about the show as well and get more people. We've got some like 60 episodes of backlog that we can listen to, but thank you to all of our listeners today for joining us. Once again, I'm Naf. You can find me at Seen by Naf, and links are in the description below for all of my spots as well. JJ, where can people find you, and what can they expect to find if they do chase you down?
First of all, thank you for having me on your podcast. It's always fun. It's a pleasure to be and talking JJK with friends, especially. So this meant a lot. Very insightful conversation that's going to make me consider a lot of different things. So it means a lot. So thank you. I appreciate it. But you can find me under Lady Dragon JJ. Don't expect any kind of ladylike stuff on there. I claim it, but I will fucking tell you I'm not a lady. Anyway, I talk about all the nerdy stuff. I'm really into Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones, obviously, Dune, Marvel, not so much Marvel anymore, DC. Nerdy pop culture, I guess. Anime now. I'm into Vox Machina, really hardcore now. I love it.
I'm waiting for your Arcane era now.
We're gonna enter Arcane era. If you like shit posting and being unhinged and villain simping, I'm really into Geto and Kylo Ren. So you can follow me on Lady Dragon JJ on Twitter.
Heartbreaking
Blue
that you haven't
Sky,
mentioned also Darth Maul and Asajj Ventress, but okay, whatever.
Oh god.
Oh, especially Ventress.
Oh yeah, 2 days ago was a Ventress Day and I totally forgot to shout it out. Sorry, my brain is fried. Apologies. So okay. I know. Where is my girl?
Johnny, co-host number 2. Where can people find you? What can they expect to find?
I am a number 2, aren't I? People can find me as Marvelous with 2 L's, then Jonathan, Jonathan for that spelling. There's no O or anything. But yeah, you can find me on TikTok, Instagram. Well, there's no extra O at the end. A lot of people like to go JONATHON. Well, you know what I mean. Right after I spelled it, okay? You little nitpicky little shits. But yeah, no, you can find me on that moniker for my Instagram, my YouTube. I'm working on multiple videos right now, trying to get those out. Instagram, YouTube, TikTok especially. That's the bulk of my content. And now Blue Sky.
Blue Sky's been nice. I like it.
I'll go check it out as well. I haven't done any
posted
Blue Sky
one
stuff.
thing.
I'll go suss it out.
I haven't either, but JJ's sold me on it, so.
I literally use Twitter exclusively to engage with JJ. Like, literally nothing else. Like, it's...
Honestly,
engage in JJ, what? Where do I sign up?
And Cal, thank you again so much for bringing this film and this discussion.
Yeah.
Like,
Seriously.
all of this is very much thanks to you. Where can people find you, and what can they expect to find when they do?
People can find me pretty much anywhere on the internet at Cal4. I like
anywhere.
Pretty much. I mean,
Definitely
unless it's like the
Twitch.
really like creepy sus places, but primarily on Twitch.
Creepy sus place.
Can I go looking on what you have on your Reddit?
I've fun fact. Okay, so maybe not everywhere on the internet. I've never been on Reddit.
That's a good thing.
Really?
That's a good thing.
That's a great
I've always
deal.
heard that, so I'm like, okay,
I'm
so
so
why?
jealous
Okay,
of
I'm
you.
disinterested then.
No.
But primarily
Don't.
on Twitch, most weeknights at around 8 p.m. Central, we're live on Twitch, usually being dumb, playing dumb games.
He did a great
but-
Phasmophobia stream recently.
It was a blast. But a lot of times,
Hilarious.
especially when it's playing like something like Minecraft, where it's a lot more zen and chill, we have a lot of similar conversations like this where it gets very deep, philosophical, and all that fun stuff. So it's definitely a good time to just kind of
I love it.
chill, especially with the chaos of everything, just having a spot to just hang out and play games.
And we got a diet in the cod. Diet in the force glitch show as well.
Oh,
So
hi,
Pep's in
Pep.
there as well. But yeah, no, thank you so
Yay.
much to everyone for listening. Thank you so much to everyone for coming and making this a fantastic conversation as well. Definitely one of my favorite episodes we've ever done. And yeah, as a final reminder, you can find links to all the individual pages in the description below, and there's also a Google form you can fill out. So if this is a specific creator or a film that you'd love to see on the podcast, you can let us know. And you can find one with the films on Instagram, TikTok, or your favorite podcasting platforms. But for now, as promised, you can feast your eyes on the next film on the Weekly Watchlist. Thank you so much for sticking with us to the end.
Bye, everyone, and suck it, Keegan.
Bye. I miss you, Keegan. Next time.
I do too.
Bye, guys.
Hi, I'm Sleepy Savior, otherwise known... Nope, that's backwards. That's backwards. I'm gonna those aren't words. That was just sound from my face hole. This is my 14th try. Hi, I'm Ren, otherwise known as Sleepy Savior. You might remember me from just now when I introduced myself. I'm here to talk to you about next week's podcast, where the guys are going to be talking about Summer Wars with... Me! I'm gonna be on it. It's gonna be fun. See you later.